Council, protecting your environment.
The perfect Mother's Day gift to see the one and only Tom Jones in Belfast. Join us as Highland Radio hit the road to see the timeless legend as he headlines Belsonic 2023, Friday 16th of June. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast in the 4-star Clayton Hotel Belfast and your standing ticket to the outdoor event. Contact us today on 074 9125,000 to see Tom Jones at Ormo Park Belfast, Friday 16th of June.
Have yourself a great Wednesday. We're going to pass you over to Greg Hughes. Greg, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Have a great Wednesday yourself. See you Thursday, last day of the week tomorrow. For you.
Good
anyway.
luck.
All right, take care.
Chat to you soon.
Right, see you soon, Lee. It's 9 o'clock. Time for a news update, and we welcome onto the programme now Donal Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council is looking at the possibility of purchasing houses in which families are facing eviction. The issue was raised at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District by Councillor Jerry McMonigal. He said policy up to now has been to seek vacant possession. Officials confirmed, however, under new department guidelines, the council does have clearance from government to buy houses with tenants in situ, subject to the house complying with the council's acquisition policy and the tenants having a recognised need. They added this overrides any previous policies. Well, Councillor McMonigal welcomes that, but says it must be backed up with resources and red tape must be eliminated.
More important, especially for people who's facing eviction, that the council doesn't have to go through the laborious process of months and months of applications, waiting for government go ahead and assent. And what we need here now, if someone is facing eviction and the councils, as the Taoiseach has said, local authorities can buy that house, they ensure that then people have a roof over their heads, then that needs to be a process that is direct and has very little time to fulfil.
A 10th arrest has been made by detectives investigating the shooting of a senior police officer in Tyrone. Detective Chief Inspector John Caldwell remains critically ill but stable after he was wounded when he was shot while coaching a youth football team in Omagh last month. A 45-year-old man was detained in the Belfast area yesterday evening under the Terrorism Act. Over €70 million in EU funding has been invested in health and social care projects in the border region since the establishment of COT, the Cooperation and Working Together Partnership. This year marks its 30th anniversary, with more than 100,000 patients and clients benefiting from projects to date. More than 40,000 people have received training. COT was established in 1992. An environmental protection charity says the government's policy on energy poverty is lacking in scale and ambition. A report by Friends of the Earth found the number of Irish families unable to heat their homes more than doubled in the past year. It also says grants for retrofitting remain skewed and leave many groups and communities most at risk of energy poverty out in the cold. Claire O'Connor is Energy Policy Officer with Friends of the Earth.
I think households are now at a point where energy bills need to come down and the government needs to take really radical actions to do this. So it's going to mean much more investment in state-led retrofitting programs, and they're going to need to proactively go out and insulate homes for the people who need it most first. Because families who can't pay their energy bills, they're not in a position to now invest in really expensive retrofitting measures.
A snow ice alert for Donegal, Cavan, Monaghan, Sligo and Leitrim remains in place for the next 2 hours, with Met Éireann saying there is still potential for hazardous driving conditions in the north and northwest. Meanwhile, Met Éireann tell us it'll be cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain preceded by some local sleet or snow, becoming wet through the afternoon and evening. Again, some poor driving conditions as a result. Highs of 2 to 5 degrees Celsius, fresh and gusty southerly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with News in Full at 10 o'clock.
What does Ireland sound like? Is it the mournful cry of the uilleann pipes floating over a lonely mountain pass? Or waves lapping on a wild western shore? Is it the gentle sound of rain on a soft spring day? Or welcoming voices in a cosy local pub?
Right, folks, do you not have homes to go to?
No. This is what Ireland sounds like. KFC's original recipe, chicken fillet roll. This St. Patrick's Day, it's got to be KFC.
The county's number one talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 15th of March 2023. I hope you're well. Great to have you along for another 9 till Noon Show. And coming up later on, we're going to be answering your sleep questions. Do you sleep okay? Do you think you sleep okay? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you who will know. Motti Verghese of the Sleep Clinic will be joining us to answer any sleep-related questions. That's part of World Sleep Day, which is on Friday, March 17th. So if you have issues with your sleep or questions about your sleep, or maybe someone in your house, a young person, whatever it might be, get in touch with us, 086 60 25,000, and get in early if you don't mind, because what will happen is it'll get really busy, don't you know, once we start chatting to Motti. So any questions on sleep, 086 60 25,000, or give them a call. Give us a call either, by the way, 07491 25,000. More than happy to sort it out that way as well. Also, later on, we'll have Business News with Kieran. Around about 10:30, we'll be announcing the winner of our music competition, Irish Music Month Search for a Music Hero, as they've called it. And we'll be announcing our winner. The judges met last night and have come up with a consensus. And, of course, the public vote formed part of that decision-making process. The winner of that competition will be announced around about 10:30. So not only can you listen, as we encourage you every day, of course, to listen. Most of you listen. Some of you choose to watch as well. And that's your choice. You can go onto your smart TV and open up the YouTube or Facebook app, the same on your Fire Stick or on your phone or tablet or laptop. Watch the whole show or just tune at 10:30 or whatever you want to do. Get in touch with us, though, and have your say by the usual phone numbers or on our social media. So loads coming up in between all of that as well, as you can imagine. So we want your views. Okay, let's get on to what's making the front pages of the newspapers today. We'll start with the Finn Valley Voice. Driving at Crossroads Junction is like Russian roulette. An extremely busy crossroads at a Finn Valley village where all vehicles have equal access is a Russian roulette, with accidents waiting to happen. The danger at Crossroads Village, where the crossroads is located, was highlighted by Councillor Patrick McGowan at Monday's online meeting of the Lifford-Stranoley Municipal District. There's been an accident there, an awful lot of near misses and small accidents that people have not reported. The simple solution is to make it a roundabout, he said. There's a few places I could think of need roundabouts. That's amongst them. What do you think? Do you use that road on a daily or do you drive through it from time to time? If you want to have your view on that too, 086 60 25,000. The Inish Times this morning, their story. Members of the Inishowen fishing industry have demanded that a fisheries management plan from the government be put in place before plans for a major offshore wind farm progress any further. Haven Offshore Array is preparing to investigate the feasibility of developing an offshore wind farm off the north coast of Inishowen. The company has submitted an application for a 5-year foreshore investigatory licence for a project containing a mixture of static and floating wind turbines in initial sites of more than 1,500 kilometres squared, with the nearest point to the coast being 20 kilometres from Malin Head. A geophysical survey has been carried out. Haven Offshore Array said the licence would allow the company to refine the site choice and to carry out surveys to assess the viability of the project properly. But obviously a meeting in Carndonagh between around 30 members of the local fishing industry and consultants on behalf of that company heard concerns about the possible impact of the proposed project on the fishing industry. The Donegal Post heartfelt appeal for new school to go ahead. After operating out of prefab since it was founded 24 years ago, Gaelscoil na Cahamaistra was all set to begin construction on its new school, but news that the government has pressed pause on funding this and 57 other schools around the country has come as a serious blow, and it is a major blow. The Board of Management, staff and school community have walked a long and challenging road to get to this stage. In the last few years, they've welcomed design approval for a state-of-the-art building. They got the go-ahead to put the project out to tender, and we're literally at shovel-ready stage, but it looks like it's being stalled. And look, we've done the interviews here, and I'm sure most media did, of politicians welcoming this great announcement, saying this is fantastic for the area, and those same politicians need to make sure that they speak up now. that it's unacceptable, isn't it, for young people to be being schooled in prefabs, that teachers have to teach in that environment, that parents have to send their children to school in that environment. And that's been the way for 24 years. You can't bring an organisation like this to the brink and then say, sorry. You know, it has to be surely done on a case-by-case basis if they need to cut costs or whatever it might be. But that's a project you'd feel has to go ahead. And as I say, you just hope those that welcomed it are as vocal now in calling for it to proceed. The Irish Independent tells us that the government's expected to reap hundreds of millions of euro from the move to phase out the reduced excise rate on petrol and diesel. The scrapping of the lower rate of duty could add 10 euro to the cost of a tank of fuel. Finance Minister Michael McGrath has confirmed the estimated additional receipts in a full year from the increases in excise duty on a total of 21 cent on petrol and diesel will amount to more than 700 million euro. And where's that money going to be spent? What's it going to be spent on? Excise duty was cut last year by 15 cent a litre on diesel and 20 cent a litre on petrol. And I've no doubt, for me anyway, I don't know about you listening, but this is just going to feel like a massive increase from government because things were so chaotic at the time of the reduction. And it was from such a high rate. And then prices went up then shortly thereafter. It didn't really feel like a break at all, did it? This is going to feel like a significant increase. 15 cent on a litre of diesel, 20 cent on a litre of petrol. So now sometimes you can see petrol down in the 150s, diesel down in the 160s, depending where you are. If you're in the south of the county, they're both up close to 170 still, which again is something I think needs to be looked at really. How is petrol so much cheaper in this part of the world where I am, Letterkenny, compared to, say, for instance, parts of Donegal town? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it is what it is. Someone living in Donegal town, for example, in the petrol station I've seen, it's going to feel far more expensive than someone buying petrol and diesel in Letterkenny, I would imagine. But anyway, last month the government said there would be staggered increases in excise duty from June 1st, when petrol will increase by 6 cent, diesel by 5. On September 1st, petrol will go up by another 7 cent and diesel up by another 5. The remaining 8 cent on petrol and 6 cent on diesel will increase on October 31st, just as we start to prepare for another bloody winter. Okay. The COVID tracker app, some of you loved it, some of you downloaded it, some of you never looked at it and hated it. Well, it's gone. The COVID tracker app is due to be decommissioned shortly, but hasn't had a version update for almost a year. Still, 11,881 users checked into it yesterday. Can you believe that? 11,881 people checked into the COVID app yesterday. The app tells us, 292 COVID cases were reported on Monday. 17 deaths occurred in the last week. There's also information about the number of vaccine doses administered so far. Almost 11 million vaccine doses were given out in this country. The app was created to help trace people who were potentially infected with the virus. Though it was a popular success, it never really succeeded in its objective. An amazing 4.34 million registrations of the app were recorded, yet this converted into 1.7 million users. Not bad, but in the eyes of many experts, not enough to make it an effective contract tracing tool. So 4.34 million of you downloaded the app and registered on it. 1.7 million of the population actually used it. Yesterday, 11,000 people logged on. It's getting the heave-ho. The Irish Daily Mail tells us that People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy has said he and his partner plan to raise their baby gender neutral so as not to limit the child's future preferences on their gender identity. The new dad announced the arrival of Juniper, his first child, with his partner Jess last month. Mr. Murphy, 39, said the couple had decided on the baby's name before the birth. Regardless of whether it was a male or female, it was going to be Juniper. I think it's a gender-neutral name, he told the Irish Times. We're not pandering it, so we're not describing Juniper as a boy. We're describing Juniper as a baby, but it's a male. And continuous references to the wee dota's it. We live in a deeply sexist and gendered society, he said, which creates certain expectations for boys and certain expectations for girls. And those things are changing in a positive direction, but there's a very, very long way to go, he said. The couple will be using the pronoun they for Juniper and want their child to discover their own gender identity. I mean, you do have to raise a child, don't you? And offer it, I say it, it's catching off of them, the baby, Juniper, some sort of guidance or something, don't you? I mean, do you not cut Juniper's hair? Do you not, what do you dress it in? I don't know. We're not going to be out there correcting people's pronouns. If people call Juniper a boy and say he and him, that's fine. We're not going to be correcting them, he said in an interview with the Irish Times. We're not going to fight against society, but to the extent that we can in our home, in our relationship with Juniper, we don't want to limit the kind of future they will foresee for themselves. But the problem is that when you send them to creche, the world doesn't work like that, really, does it? When you send them to creche says, hello, Juniper, I'm a boy or I'm a girl, you know, and they go, well, I'm not, or I don't know, or what, you know, a wee 3 or 4 year old. Personally, it sounds to me like it might create more problems for the wee baby than not. You want to dress in pink, he said, fire ahead. Do you want to dress in blue? Fire ahead. Do you want to play football? Brilliant. But you want to go dancing? Amazing. It's just not to limit. But gender is not a limit to dancing. We've amazing male and female dancers. Gender's not a limit to playing football. We have amazing male and female footballers. Some of the strongest people I know are female athletes. So you tell Katie Taylor that her gender has limited her, and I'll tell you, she'll probably give you a left hook. She wouldn't, but you know what I mean. But anyway, look, it's a decision they've made. I see there was a famous model that decided to go down the same route and then changed a few months afterwards because it's a whole handling, I think, anyway. But each to their own. It's not my house, it's their house. He's decided, though, that the baby's pictured in the paper and he's talking about him. So obviously privacy is not the concern there. But anyway, as I say, each to their own. I hope... well, anyway. The Irish Daily Star, excuse me, really be careful when you're on Twitter, especially if you're in a position of power or any social media for that matter. Some people have made mistakes in the past where they've been searching in the search bar and pressed to search, but in fact they typed a tweet out and tweeted it. A Green Party member made this faux pas. The communications director of the Green Party claimed a now deleted tweet stating one of his own party TDs was not a sensible person, was meant for a friend. Thomas Malloy, who has been the party's communications director since February, replied to a post by RTÉ's Up Front with Katie Hannon show and tweeted, there was not one sensible person on the panel on Monday night. That was despite Green Party Dublin Central TD Nessa Horgan being on the panel and identified in the tweet by name and photo. The tweet has since been deleted and the Green said Mr Malloy had accidentally tweeted a message which he had meant to text a friend. Now, I don't know how you'd pull that one off, but anyway... the party added he apologised to Nessa as he never intended for the message to be read publicly. Ms Horgan was on the Upfront with Katie Hannon panel alongside Fianna Fáil's Dublin North West TD, Paul McAuliffe, Sinn Féin housing spokesperson Owen O'Brien and former housing agency chair Conor Skean, but he tweeted that not one sensible person on that panel. Okay, on to the Sun this morning. The Burkes are... some family, really, in terms of fighting against the authorities. There's a sister that's taking a legal case against the law firm claiming unfair dismissal. Obviously, Enoch Burke, his trials and tribulations have been well documented. But his brother was back before the courts yesterday and urged the judge to set him free so he can sit his legal exams. But Simeon Burke, just 24, though he looks much younger, yesterday chose to remain behind bars after refusing to accept the bail he has been repeatedly offered. So he's in the nick now because he refused to sign a bail bond. He was charged over an outburst at the Court of Appeal on March 7th. The King's Inn pupil was held after chaotic scenes in the forecourts after a judgment was handed down in brother Enoch's case. He was there with his family to support him, his siblings, who... was unsuccessful in an appeal against orders refraining him from attending Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath. But Simeon claims that how he was arrested and under the grounds he was arrested are illegal. But he's studying law and he wants to get out of court to sit his exams. But he's refusing to sign. His bail bond. Right. Okay. Let's go to the Irish Daily Mirror finally. And we talked briefly yesterday about the Irish jokes at the Oscars, and obviously everything's a day behind. We're radio, so we're immediate the newspapers are a day behind because, of course, they have to go to print. So they're just getting reaction now to the jokes, the skits, effectively. We played one of them for you yesterday. Oscar-nominated film director Jim Sheridan has blasted Saturday Night Live bosses for their offensive and not funny skit about Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. During the SNL sketch, which you heard yesterday, Farrell and Gleeson, 67, were portrayed as unintelligible due to their language and accent. The 3.5-minute clip on US TV caused uproar, prompting Farrell to remark about it at the Oscars on Sunday night. Now Sheridan, 74, has waded in on the furore. Now, the one thing I will say about Colin Farrell, he's played characters in the past, and I think it was in one of the Madonna's ex-husband's name films, where he did an Irish accent that was kind of unintelligible. But anyway, like it was a very exaggerated sort of Irish accent where you couldn't really make out much of what he was saying. But anyway, it's all right, I suppose, for him to do it because he is Irish. The sketch shows the host of the NBC entertainment programme introducing two actors posing as the Banshee of Inish Ehrenstars, and you heard the babble that they come out with. And it was mixed views. I think it depends on the type of person you are. If you're easily offended, you're offended. If you don't mind a bit of banter, it'll just wash over you, and that's just the way it is. Okay, that was a run through some of the things making the papers today. If you want to get involved in the conversation, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts. Great to have you on board. Back with our first guest shortly.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori Strabane, 2-course express menu, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Only $18.95. 7-day weekly a la carte menu, €1 for pound. Now taking bookings for Mother's Day and Sunday Carvery, 2 courses only $15.95. Check out our party packages and great deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori Strabane.
Get the Irish Daily Star today for your free 16-page Cheltenham pullout. Our man Brian Flanagan gives you the inside scoop from the track. We have Davy Russell and Andy Mack's exclusive views, plus all the top tipsters ready to get you first past the post all week. The Irish Daily Star, number 1 for racing, number 1 for you.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €3.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Are you looking for a flexible, affordable home improvement loan? New kitchen, bathroom or bedroom? For whatever you're planning, B&S Credit Union's Renovate Loan is ready to go. Loans from €5,000 to €70,000. Visit our website at bnscu.ie or free phone 1-800-290-390, where our dedicated and experienced loans team will be delighted to help you. Loans are subject to approval, terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Now, we're still talking about the provision of a new municipal graveyard for Letterkenny. It's been on the agenda for a long, long time. Councillor Donald Coyle of Fianna Fáil is raising the issue again, which is to be welcomed. Good morning to you, Donald. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners.
It's great to have you with us. Right, okay, so, I mean, there was demands for space in terms of burial plots for a long, long time now. Presumably that pressure is only increasing.
That's right, Greg. And I suppose the reason why I brought up the motion yesterday at the municipal district meeting was that the members received a letter from the Interchurch Group on Graveyard Provision in Donegal. And in that letter, there's a mention of 3 important items in regards to graveyard provision. The urgency of providing for municipal burial grounds in the larger urban centres in Donegal, the need for council intervention and local cemeteries across the denominations, given the cost of land development and maintenance, and the urgency of providing for the burial of non-Christians and non-congregants who now comprise a significant element of communities across Donegal. And you mentioned Letterkenny there, and I suppose, look, you know, the two largest graveyards in Letterkenny are Cornwall and Lake. And those two graveyards, you know, it says in the letter that they will be full to capacity within 8 years' time, you know. And in other words, in 8 years from now, there will be no more space in either of those two graveyards for new graves.
Now, there is the possibility to expand the Lek graveyard, but that's going to come down to money. And that is also of a particular denomination. It wouldn't, even if that were to go ahead and even if that were expanded, it doesn't negate the need for a new graveyard space for people of all denominations and none.
That's correct. And I'll just give you maybe one interesting statistic in regards to all of this, Greg, and that is I have been told that in one Catholic primary school in Letterkenny, that in a class of 28, 13 of those pupils are Catholic. The remainder, the other 15, are, the majority of those are non-Christian. So that gives you an idea, you know, of the trend and the diversity, you know, in the town of Letterkenny at this particular moment in time.
So what's the hold up here? It's finding the right space in the right place. The council have been pursuing this seemingly with what vigour, I don't know, for quite some time. So clearly there is a reason why we haven't achieved this goal yet. Do you know why that is?
Well, look, it has come up at several meetings relating to the Letterkenny town plan, but you know, the progress on it is far too slow. And the first thing that needs to be done is that a plot of land, a sufficient plot of land, needs to be identified. It needs to be bought by the council and then developed and maintained by the council. Because, Greg, you know, right across the country, in the large and urban areas and cities, you know, there are municipal graveyards, and that's the way that that I feel and that the members feel we have to go. And you know, this thing has been you know, mooted over the last 10 years, and I have asked for a workshop to discuss this with the members, and then to broaden it out to include all the denominations and all the other interested people in it.
Yeah, because all different people have different backgrounds, have different traditions. Burial has to be quick with some religions. It has to be in a certain place with the deceased laid in a certain way. A lot of that cannot be accommodated in Donegal. So people that have been living here for many, many years, if they do pass away, have to go and get buried in Derry, for example, or Dublin for that matter, which obviously then it's not just the process of the burial, but then obviously for loved ones to visit the resting place of their deceased off, you know, I mean, it's incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah, at a time of death, you know, things should be made as easy as possible, you know, for the people involved. And, you know, to have to travel to Derry, as you say, or to Dublin, you know, to be buried, you know, in this day and age, it's not acceptable.
A caller says, what about the Gortley Cemetery? Does Councillor Coyle not count that as a cemetery? There are more denominations in Letterkenny than Catholic.
Of course, yeah, but I just refer to the two biggest. Of course, you know, and there are many other cemeteries in Letterkenny of other denominations. And as I say, you know, this is not just I'm not just talking about one denomination here. I'm talking about all denominations.
I think in fairness to you, the entire premise of this conversation is that there are many different people with different backgrounds in this county now, and they all need to be accommodated. I mean, that's the very reason why you're raising this issue. So I think from that we can deduct that you recognise that there are more faiths and more burial sites than for Catholics. Okay, so what happens next then? Like you know, because as I say, I know you're battering away at this, Donald. I've been speaking about this, and Sean before me, I'm sure, did, about providing a county graveyard. It was described at some point then, Letterkenny and wherever it is. What's the hold up? Like, let's identify a piece of land. It doesn't have to be in the heart of Letterkenny. It can be in a central location in the county, and let's crack on with this.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. Like, I mean, the movement on it has been far too slow. Like, you know, as I said, this has been going on now for over 10 years or more, it has to be moved forward with an urgency.
And a caller says, and this has been said before, this also highlights the real issue here for a crematorium in Donegal. Now, I understand plans are afoot for that. However, how they're progressing, I don't know. Cremation, a convenient location for cremation, is the solution for a lot of people. For many, many others, though, they still want a traditional funeral. Can I call it traditional? They want a funeral where the person is buried. Let me put it like, I'm not sure if that's traditional or not, and that's my ignorance, to be honest with you. So you still, yes, I mean, obviously a crematorium close by would be useful for those who wish to go down that route. But I think the majority, or at least half, will still require burial spaces.
Exactly, yeah. And in relation to crematorium, you know, there was an application made to Donegal County Council for a crematorium out in Sallybrook, and I think that plan was rejected. Again, like, you know, it's finding the appropriate place with good access and all of that. You know,
I think in this day and age, you need to be planning either a graveyard or cemetery or whatever it might be called, or a crematorium. You need a bit of distance between it and where other people are. I don't think anyone... I think a lot of people would be uncomfortable with their new neighbours, let me put it like that. Do you know what I mean? So you have to... I think whoever is planning this, you have to make sure that you find a location that impacts least on people already residents in the area. Exactly.
Like, you know, and to talk about a municipal graveyard, like, you know, you're talking about... you know, a large area.
And just and as you're perfectly correct. Plans for Donegal's first crematorium set back. On Ball Planala refused an appeal by the developers. The proposed crematorium would have been located near Cunningham to serve the entire northwest. Obviously, as we know now, families have to travel to Cavan or Belfast for this service. But On Ball Planala refused it. So that's probably dead in the water, if the truth be told.
Well, that particular one, but I can see in the future where other applications will be made, you know, and as opposed depending on the location, you know, because quite a number of people now, and, you know, if you want to be cremated, you have to either go to Cavan or to Belfast. And again, because, you know, you're talking about distance and the inconvenience of travel and whatever, you know.
I'll not be worried too much about it. I'll be honest. That's the truth. That'll be for someone else to worry about. You can take me to the moon and back if you want. Once I'm gone, that's it. But no, listen, I understand that everyone's different. People have their plans in place, and it's about convenience and access to services, and that's all we want. All right, okay. Well, let's get a crack on here, Donald. Hopefully there's some progress on this, and it's not a talking shop. It's a workshop where we can sort of start firming up plans. Thanks for your time. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Do you want to say something else?
I think, like, I mean, the urgency is there, and you know, it's now is the time now to plan, and that's why I asked for the workshop. And thanks, Greg, for having me on this morning. Nice to speak to you, Donald. Take care, Councillor Donald Coyle. There, I don't think there's any counter argument to it, is it? I think we do need one. It's just where. What about the Ars Friary, where ashes remains can be placed in? Is this in the pipeline? Yeah, we did the interview on that. They're setting up, I can't remember the name, they're setting up a thing whereby you can buy a space to intern ashes, which I think is a lovely thing. But I think a lot of people, I wonder what is the
most people still wish to be buried, don't they? Do people set that out before they're passing? I presume they do. Okay. Let's hope that situation moves forward then. 08660 25,000. Just a reminder for you, we're going to be talking sleep as part of our Wellness Wednesday. Motti Verghese of the Sleep Clinic will be joining me to answer your questions about sleep. Are you sleeping well? How much sleep do you need? When do you sleep? Do you find it difficult to get off to sleep? 08660 25,000 or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Good morning, Audrey. Good morning, Beth, watching on Facebook. Anita, thank you very much for your nice comments. She watches us from the Cayman Islands. What's the weather like, Anita, in the Cayman Islands? It sounds ridiculously lovely, but that's just the name, isn't it? Right, okay, let us now take a break. Then we're going to be joined by our next guest, Dr. Paul Dorfman.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Go full Lidl for a trolley full of savings. And you won't want to miss these great offers. You could go full Irish stew with Board B approved Irish stewing beef steak just $4.19. And Irish rooster potatoes just $1.26. Plus an 8-pack of Guinness Draft just $13.26. Shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today. Get the facts, be drink aware. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Enjoy live music this St. Patrick's Day at the Highlands Hotel Glenties with the Tumbling Paddies. On Saturday 18th, it's Jerry Guthrie and Sinead Black. Tickets from ticketstop.ie or from the hotel reception. And why not finish the weekend by treating Mum to Mother's Day lunch this Sunday? To book your table, call the Highlands Hotel Glenties today.
Century Complex is now serving pizza in our new and improved Bidas Corner bar. We have a wide range of delicious pizza options available. Call us on 074 9121 to book your table. And don't forget, Century Cinemas is located just across the car park. Check out centurycinemas.ie for movie times and tickets.
It's time to travel again, to feel nervous again, to go where they go and roar them on again. It's time to rise again for the Allianz Leagues. This Sunday in Ballybuffet, Donegal face Mayo in the Allianz Football League at 3:45. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centra and Super Value stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Fancy a Chinese takeaway?
Yeah, in Beijing.
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday, 24th of March, and you will also be in with a chance of winning a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise booking with Atlantic Travel, plus €1,000 cash. Draw will take place on the 9 till noon show, Friday, 24th of March.
Now, the state's Nuclear Protection Advisory Committee has not met in nearly 2 years, despite the volatile security situation at the nuclear plant in Ukraine, as well as Russian threats to use nuclear weapons. The committee may no longer even have any formal standing, as its term of office was due to expire in April of this, or of last year, should I say. Dr. Paul Dorfman is member of the Irish Government Radiation Protection Committee and joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Paul. Thanks so much for joining us.
Morning.
So talk to me about this committee and when it does convene its work, Paul.
Okay. I have to say straight away that of all of the committees that I've been on and, engaging with, various governments, I found this to be one of the most friendly, open-minded committees. There's none of the usual backbiting that one normally finds in radiation protection or nuclear. It's all very, it's all worked quite well. It's broadly based. There's a lot of medics, and the kinds of issues that have been discussed are things around, medical, dental, background, radon, but also a few years ago we came up with two interesting reports. One of which was we independently commissioned reports. One of which stated quite clearly that if there was a significant accident in Europe And if it did blow across into Ireland, then it had the potential to bankrupt the Irish agricultural industry. So, the committee has been useful. I understand actually that the EPA have got in touch and have said that they will renew the committee's remit. And so we're looking forward to carrying on with the meetings.
And as you say, it covers a wide range, but I'll focus on just what might feel more pressing at the moment. We don't know what might happen at Zaporizhzhia plant. We don't know if something intentional or accidental could happen. We are in a very volatile period now. So if you were to meet, what kind of things might you be discussing in the event of an accidental or intentional nuclear event that could end up polluting our skies, for example?
Okay. The two things that I have on my mind, and I think that in terms of radiation pollution, there are two things that the committee needs to discuss. One is Zaporizhzhia, which I'll turn to in a moment. The second is there are elements of calls for new nuclear in Ireland. Okay, so I hope we'll discuss that. Now, in terms of Zaporizhzhia, the nuclear plant, they're different. There's 6 nuclear reactors there. They're different from the Chernobyl reactor, which is a graphite-moderated reactor. Graphite is very light, can be blown up. It's what you find on the inside of a pencil. It's used to moderate a reactor. And so the understanding is so far that even if there was to be some form of catastrophe at Zaporizhzhia, because of the nature of the reactors, which are now in cold shutdown. However, of course, there would be significant problems with the spent fuel ponds. It seems very unlikely, because of the nature of the reactors and the way they're constructed and how they're built, and also the nature of the reactors themselves, you wouldn't get the same kind of dispersion as we did from Chernobyl. It's not a graphite moderated reactor. So if a catastrophe were to happen, and the head of IAEA, that's UN's nuclear watchdog, is, as we speak, having kittens, the idea that the risk from Zaporizhzhia has gone away is far from true. It's the models show, and remember, models are just models. The models show that you're talking about Central Europe and into Russia, with very unlikely to reach Ireland, but that's just what the models show.
Okay, well, and that's, but we could also have an event at any nuclear plant, presumably in any location much closer to us as well. So whilst that might seem the one that is most likely, we can't say that with any certainty. The use of nuclear power in Ireland seemed to have been ruled out quite some time ago, and then the conversation re-emerged towards the end of last year with the crisis in terms of power, and there were various arguments. Mostly, I heard against it, i.e., Ireland's too small to benefit from nuclear, or all the usual arguments. And then it's going to be not in my backyard. We'd have to get through all that as well, of course. What is your view on whether we should or shouldn't or could or couldn't meet our energy needs here, and maybe even export using nuclear power generation?
Okay. There's been a lot of PR around nuclear, and one wonders why. It could be a sort of a last chance saloon, because last year, I think it is about 84% of all new power capacity additions worldwide was renewables, with nuclear nowhere. Renewables come in at maybe a third the cost. New renewables come in at about a third the cost of new nuclear. Everywhere that nuclear is being built, it takes about 20 years to put down one nuclear power station. So if you're worried about the energy crisis, or if you're worried about the climate crisis, it seems to be far too late, which is curious why there's so much PR around nuclear as we speak. One of the reasons for nuclear PR is that it's good. It will help us with our climate problems. The problem with that is we know that the ice is melting much quicker than we had thought. And nuclear needs to be located by the coast or by large bodies of water or by rivers to get the cooling. Now, in terms of GB nuclear and what would be Irish nuclear, that's coastal. Now, the problem with coastal is that when one looks at the models and what's happening now with climate change, there seems to be no question but that climate, sea level rise driven storm surge, which means basically when atmospheric conditions meet high tide, the sea basically ups and moves inland. So you can say with relative confidence that within a couple of decades, nuclear coastal worldwide will be at relatively significant risk from this form of flooding.
But also, as you say, presumably, if I'm listening to you correctly, we have the solutions that aren't nuclear. That can be provided much more quickly. I mean, our size is an advantage, I suppose, in terms of our access to the coast. Now, I'm conscious, particularly within the fishing community, that we have to make sure all parties are consulted in how we provide, say, offshore wind energy generation, for example. And that's the one mistake we seem to make, is we don't include all parties, and then it's a firefight at the planning stages. But, we don't... The argument for nuclear here really doesn't make a great deal of sense, because we can provide power generation much more quickly, much more greenly, and in line with what's happening in the majority of the world, much more simply, which again, I think that's really the thrust of your point. Why are we even talking about nuclear in an Irish context?
That's precisely right. It's much cleaner, it's much greener, and critically, what's really important about it, it's much quicker. You can, once you get through the legislation, and the legislation may need to be changed, but once you get through the legislation, in terms of the practicalities, and this business about relative variability when the wind doesn't blow or the sun doesn't shine, actually, that increasingly, that's not seen to be the case. So when the wind doesn't blow, the sun shines. When the sun doesn't shine, the wind blows. And then from there, you go to backup in terms of battery, and then you go to different forms of load follow and interconnection. And critically, one needs to think about energy in the round. So when you're talking about energy, you're talking about demand-side management, energy management, conservation as well, which is the lowest hanging fruit as well too. So basically, at the end of the day, and I think that most energy professors will tell you this right now, okay, the renewable evolution is here. It's much quicker, it's much cleaner, and it's much cheaper. And yes, it can be done. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing that we need to really keep in mind when we're faced with all of the issues that we're being faced with, especially in terms of climate and, of course, in terms of energy, is that the renewable evolution really is here. And this is key for people, and especially young people, to understand in this time when we're overcome by worries about so many things.
Finally, if you were to convene a meeting of the Government Radiation Protection Committee tomorrow, okay, what would be the 3 items on the agenda that you would want? Because it might be, radiation usage in a dental practice. I don't know. It might not be quite as sexy as the papers might want. But for you, the 3 most pressing issues that you'd want on the agenda for the meeting tomorrow.
Okay, well, in terms of medical use, recently a BMJ publications point to very strong research which seems to suggest that low-dose radiation may potentially be more problematic than we had thought. So certainly questions for the medics and also for the rest of us in terms of nuclear, the issue of fundamental knowledge about radiation risk in the light of this new research, which is peer-reviewed published research. Number one, fundamental radiation risk research. Number 2, Zaporizhzhia. People need to know what is the risk, what is not the risk. And of course, models can be wrong. And in terms of Zaporizhzhia, as you pointed out, certainly what would happen if there were to be a catastrophic nuclear accident, well, in Sizewell, in Hinkley Point, for example. Number three, and most important critically, to understand better where Ireland stands, what is the public discourse around nuclear in terms of Ireland, in terms of public perception, and how best to talk to government about this. Because the committee, remember, is advisory only. It's then left to your elected representative politicians to make any decision about energy policy.
It's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and I'm glad to hear that the likes of yourself and others are meeting again, as confirmed by the EPA, I believe. So thank you very much for your time this morning. Lovely to chat to you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Okay, that's Dr. Paul Dorfman, member of the Irish Government's Radiation Protection Committee.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Clarins Gift of Beauty promotion is now on McElhinney's. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products, one to be a moisturiser or serum, and receive a choice of 4 free beauty treats and a gorgeous beauty bag. Available until March 25th. 1 gift per customer while stocks last. Gift may vary.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, that sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range of Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
It's time to travel again, to feel nervous again, to go where they go and roar them on again. It's time to rise again for the Allianz Leagues. This Sunday in Ballybuffet, Donegal face Mayo in the Allianz Football League at 3:45. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centra and Super Value stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Majorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain, preceded by some local sleet or snow, becoming wet through the afternoon and evening with poor driving conditions and temperatures of 2 to 5 degrees, fresh and gusty westerly winds. Now, you might remember we spoke... some time ago now to Liam McLaughlin, an Inishowen sheep farmer who inspired a concept of a farming organisation, the Farmers Alliance. They held a meeting, I think it was down in Athlone. George O'Malley has since been appointed spokesperson for Farmers Alliance, and I believe he joins us now. Good morning to you, George.
Yes, good morning, Greg.
Great to have you with us. So, okay, how did the first meeting go, George? Was it well attended? I think it was on a Sunday, wasn't it?
Excuse me, yes, it was on a Sunday, and it was basically a scoping meeting to sort of, as it were, take the pulse and take the temperature of the water amongst the farming community to see what sort of appetite there was for an organisation, a new organisation. So the response was overwhelmingly strong and in favour of such an initiative. So we've travelled on since that, and we're going to launch the organisation on the 16th of April at Lone Springs Hotel.
And just remind us as to how this varies from the other existing farmers groups, because there are an awful lot of them. This is not an umbrella group. This is a new group, isn't it? So just remind us of the ethos behind this group, George, and how it separates itself from the various other farming organisations.
But there's a very strong belief there that farmers are not and have not been properly represented for decades. If you look at, say, there's three sections to farming activity, from the inputs, the farming activity on the farm, the production of the products, and then the marketplace. If you look at the front end of this, the inputs, particularly the likes of, say, fertilizer and feedstuff, farmers have no say in that whatsoever. That's controlled by a small number. And equally at the other end, when farmers go to the marketplace, whether it's with grain or whether it's with animals or other produce, it's really a lottery. They're not quite sure what's going to happen on the day. If you take, say, beef and sheep meat in this country, it's largely controlled by a small number, maybe 200 or 300 people, farmers and agents for the actual meat plants. So the bulk of the farming community are just filling in the gaps.
And presumably front-loading all the expense as well without knowing what they might get out of it as well. That's a very uncertain way to operate any business. And it is a business, isn't it? If you have an idea of how much it's going to cost you to produce your product, but you don't know what you're going to get at the end of it, it's really what people decide you'll get for it.
Traditionally, and increasingly so, farmers are actually, they're price takers, not price makers.
So what can happen in the future? And sorry to move it along, George. It's my fault, not yours. We're heading towards the news at 10. So what can change then? Do you know, how will things change? Because I've heard from a few farming organisations, for example, that seem very happy with the work that Charlie McConalogue is doing and full of praise for him. And yet we hear of another group coming up that feel they're not being represented. So what is the Alliance going to do differently going forward, George? And how will they achieve their goals, I wonder?
In a nutshell, the Farmers Alliance is going to take hold of their own future by getting involved in controlling the inputs, the fertilizer and the feed, basically, other inputs, and also at the other end, to explore all options to actually add value to the produce. Now, Donegal is a very unique part of the country for us. You're quite close to Derry. This organisation will be cross-border. There's a lot of strong connections so far, built up over the years between the farming community in Donegal and Derry. We intend to cultivate, explore and develop those into the future.
Yeah, and it's a different approach because I think come election time is when we're probably going to really start hearing more and more from the Farmers Alliance, motivate its members to be active in that regard. Finally, briefly, if you don't mind, George, when's the next meeting? And I think really from an Alliance perspective, the momentum comes with a very well-attended next meeting, I would presume, and I hope I'm not being presumptuous in that regard. So when is the next meeting and are you encouraging, and who are you encouraging to attend?
Yes, I've done media interviews with the local radio stations across the country at this stage. It's nearly all covered. The response is very, very strong. We have interest from right across the country, from as far away as Belfast to the Glens of Antrim, right down to the tip of Kerry and Cork. So we expect a very well-attended meeting at our launch on Sunday, the 15th of April, at Lone Springs Hotel.
Okay, thanks for your time, George. Greatly appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Okay, now you might know that St Mary's GEA Convoy are running a big draw. It's coming to a conclusion this Friday. 50k is going to be given away in St Patrick's Day. We are giving you an opportunity to win 2 free tickets on the programme all this week, every day this week, for the 4 days of the week that we're on air. Here are the details for you.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsor, St Mary's GEA Convoy Development Draw, we're giving you the chance to win 2 tickets to their 50k for €50 draw. To be in with a chance of winning this prize, all you have to do is answer the following question. If you were in Times Square, would you be in A, New York, or B, Dublin? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Say thank you to your mum this Mother's Day with a treat from Kelly Centra in Letterkenny. A card, flowers or chocolates, maybe your favourite dessert, or a luxury hamper. There's loads of options for you to find something that takes her fancy on Mother's Day. All at Kelly's award-winning Centra at Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Greener choices are the key to a sustainable future. That's why Energia is leading the way in renewable energy technologies like wind, solar and battery storage. Because the choices we all make today will change how we live tomorrow.
It's time to travel again, to feel nervous again, to go where they go and roar them on again. It's time to rise again for the Allianz Leagues. This Sunday in Ballybuffet, Donegal face Mayo in the Allianz Football League at 3:45. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centra and Super Value stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Do you have a favourite business in Donegal that you absolutely love? If they're your go-to for exceptional service, it's time to give them the recognition they deserve by nominating them for the Highland Radio Customer Service Awards in association with PGIM Ireland.
Our Customer Service Awards celebrate the businesses that go above and beyond to provide exceptional service. This award is a great way to show your appreciation for the businesses that make a difference in your life.
To nominate your favourite business, simply visit highlandradio.com and fill out the nomination form and tell us why you love this business.
The winning business will receive recognition at our special awards ceremony on the 28th of May. Plus, they will have the satisfaction of knowing that they have made a positive impact on their customers.
So don't wait any longer. Nominate your favourite business today. It only takes a few minutes by going to highlandradio.com. Nominations close on Friday the 7th of April.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. Donegal County Council is being urged to hold an urgent workshop on the need for a municipal cemetery in Letterkenny. The issue has been raised by a number of councillors, most recently Councillor Donald Coyle, who raised it this week at a municipal district meeting. He says existing church-run facilities at Conwell and Lake will be at full capacity in less than 10 years, and the council has a role to play in resolving that issue. He told members there's been fundamental changes in the social and religious makeup of the local population, and the town's new communities must be represented in further discussions.
I have been told that in one Catholic primary school in Letterkenny, that in a class of 28, 13 of those pupils are Catholic. The remainder, the other 15, the majority of those are non-Christian. So that gives you an idea, of the trend and the diversity in the town of Letterkenny at this particular moment in time.
A 10th arrest has been made by detectives investigating the shooting of a senior police officer in County Tyrone. DCI John Caldwell was wounded after coaching a youth football team in Omagh last month. He remains critically ill but stable. A 45-year-old man was arrested in the Belfast area under the Terrorism Act yesterday evening. Donegal County Council is looking at the possibility of purchasing houses in which families are facing eviction. The issue was raised at the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District meeting by Councillor Jerry McMonigal, who says policy up to now is to seek vacant possession and not to purchase home in which people are still living. Officials confirmed that under new department guidelines, the council does have clearance from government to buy houses with tenants still in situ. This is subject to the house complying with the council's acquisition policy and the tenants having a recognised housing need. This, they add, overrides previous policy. Councillor McMonigal says that it must be backed up with resources and red tape must be eliminated.
More important, especially for people who's facing eviction, that the council doesn't have to go through the laborious process of months and months of applications, waiting for government go ahead and assent. And what we need here now, if someone is facing eviction and the councils, as the Taoiseach has said, local authorities can buy that house, they ensure that then people have a roof over their heads, then that needs to be a process that is direct and has very little time to fulfil.
Over €70 million in EU funding has been invested in health and social care projects in the border region since the establishment of the Cooperation and Working Together Partnership. This year marks the 30th anniversary of COT, with more than 100,000 patients and clients benefiting from project to date and more than 40,000 people having received training. COT was established in 1992 by a group of health and social care professionals to improve the health and well-being of the border populations by working across borders and jurisdictions between Letterkenny University Hospital and the North's Western Trust. The Taoiseach is in Washington, D.C. this morning as he begins his 3-day St. Patrick's Day visit to the US. He'll meet with business groups throughout the day before the annual Ireland Funds Gala dinner tonight. Mr. Varadkar will attend an event in Georgetown University with former Secretary of State and First Lady Hillary Clinton tomorrow. All this before a meeting with the US President on Friday. Political correspondent Sean Defoe says that's a meeting to which Joe Biden is looking forward.
We're probably expecting a little bit of paddywhackery from being here with Joe Biden. He loves his Irish roots. He absolutely loves all the history of it and remembering every single relative he ever had that had anything to do with Ireland. So there will certainly be an element to that, but obviously also fairly substantive stuff. The running order is that he'll meet Kamala Harris for breakfast at the Naval Observatory in the morning, then a luncheon on Capitol Hill, and after that, a very, very long ceremony with Joe Biden at the White House.
And now to weather. Rain spreading northwards to all areas this morning, falling as sleet or snow in places for a short time, continuing wet through the afternoon and evening. The rain will be heavy in places with some spot flooding and poor driving conditions possible. That's all for now. We'll be back again with the news headlines at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 15th of March. The death has occurred in Malta of Celia Lally, Mina Gowan, Letcher McAward. Her remains will repose at her home today from 11 o'clock with rosary at 9 o'clock tonight. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Bridget's Church, Letcher McAward, with burial afterwards in the new cemetery. The death has taken place of Francie Doherty, The Pans, Cranford. His remains are reposing at his sister Annette McLaughlin's residence at Clonkillimore, Termon. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 11 to the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Cool, Cranford, for Requiem Mass at 12 noon, followed by interment in Umla Cemetery, Carrigart. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Miva Fire Service, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Gary McGinley, Moneen, Ballandrate, Lifford, reposing at his home today from 12 noon. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 11:15 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlock at 11:30. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The house is private to family and friends only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Carrick-on-Shannon Rapid River Responders, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed at clonleyparish.com. The death has occurred of Eugene O'Donnell, 28 Castlemurray, Strabane, reposing at his late home from 12 noon today. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 10 to 9 for Requiem Mass at 9:30 in St Mary's Church, Melmount, followed by interment in St Teresa's Churchyard, Sion Mills. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 12 noon. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Marie Curie Cancer Care, care of any family member. The death has occurred in Hutton, Essex, England, of Mary Fallon, Nay O'Brien, formerly of Cranalochi, Crossroads, Killygordon. Funeral has taken place in Essex. A memorial mass will be celebrated in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon, tomorrow evening at 7:30. The mass will be streamed live on the St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon YouTube channel. The death has taken place of Drew McCrabb, Mondui Lower, Manor Cunningham. Drew's remains will repose at his late residence from 12 noon until 10 p.m. today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Columba's Church, Dromahal, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private please before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Eamon Burns, the Haw, Lifford. His remains are reposing at his brother Martin's residence, the Haw, Lifford. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Columba's Church, Donnylloop, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Sarah Brown, née Vaughan, 8 Foyle Vale, Strabane, formerly of 107 Lower Main Street and Butcher Street, Strabane. Reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Strabane, at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Sacred Heart Cemetery, Derry Road, Strabane. Donations in lieu of flowers please to Marie Curie, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time please from 11 p.m. tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has occurred of Sister Berkman's Nora Doohan, St Michael's Loreto Convent, Navan Meath, late of Derry Connor, Donegal. Reposing at Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock this afternoon, with removal to St Eunan's Cathedral for prayers at 5:30. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11, followed by burial in Newleck Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
There you are at your local shop. Mother's Day card in one hand and a fancy schmancy scented candle in the other. Only to look up and see the display of scratch cards. And you think, why not pop an all cash in the envelope? The smile on Mum's face will really light up the room if she wins big. With millions in cash prizes to be won instantly, when you're in store for Mother's Day, ask for any all cash scratch card. The National Lottery. It could be your mum. Gift responsibly.
Okie dokie, welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you've just joined us. Where have you been? Well, it's good to have you on board with us. Coming up later on in this hour, our winners, who's to say, will be announced to our music competition. Thanks so much, by the way, to all of you out there for getting so involved in it on air and through our social media as well. It really has helped in what we're trying to achieve here, and that's to even go above and beyond what we already do in promoting and celebrating Irish talent. And we're very proud to have a great record in doing so, but this is an extra layer. And the public, you people, all of us engaged in it and shared posts and everything, so it's been great. Also later on, we're going to be talking about your sleep. How are you sleeping? Have you got sleep issues? What's the problems? Do you wake up tired? Can you not get to sleep? Any of your questions as it relates to sleep or sleep in a family member, perhaps. World Sleep Day's on Friday, March 17th, but we're all busy, so we're doing it today. Wellness Wednesday, which is every Wednesday, by the way, after 11. We have, on a Monday, we've got Monday Focus, okay, where we pick a particular issue and we focus in on that and allow a bit of extra time. On Wednesdays, it's Wellness Wednesdays after 11, where it's about well-being, health and well-being. Today, as we say, the focus is on sleep. And on a Friday, of course, that's entertainment, but not this Friday, with Michael and Fanula. Right, so we mixed up a little bit after 11. So any questions about sleep? Marty Verghese of the Sleep Clinic will be joining us to answer your questions. Okay, let's get to some of your comments before we take those bingo numbers. I think it's time the airtime given to the Burke family was removed. They're living off the publicity, and if it wasn't given, they would have less of a platform. Now, we are I hope we're pretty measured in doing so here, but it is stories of public interest, I think. And then there are those who like what they're doing and support them and want to hear what's next. Greg, I know very little about cremation. Does the Catholic Church agree with ashes being spread on hills, lakes, etc., or do they have to be consecrated in consecrated ground? Some people who get family members cremated then bury ashes in a grave, sometimes a double grave in a local cemetery. People's idea of cremation used to be having loved ones' ashes on the mantelpiece in an urn. I think that's cultural. Do we have a tradition in this country of putting one's ashes on a mantelpiece in an urn? I'm not sure. It doesn't feel very Irish to me, if you know what I mean. And I don't have any issue with it. It's what anyone wants to do and what's important to them. But the Catholic Church doesn't have a particular view, as far as I'm aware, on the act of cremation. What happens thereafter, again, not something I know, but we can check it out because it is an interesting one. Hi, Greg. Re-graveyard. Some parishes such as Stranollar and the Cross have changed their layout, going ahead to single graves only, with 3 deep in each grave. It's the only way that the parish can run cemeteries, and others will have space. I think when it comes to that, I might favour cremation, to be honest. It's not something I tend to think about too much, but... and I don't want to be insensitive either, and I hope I'm not being insensitive, but this is part of life, death as well, and what happens thereafter. Greg, the Catholic religion buys and looks after their own graveyard, and I'm sure the Protestant religion would be the same. As for anyone who does not believe in any religion, they can buy their own. But look, that's like saying if you don't attend Mass every Sunday, you shouldn't just roll up for your communion, and you shouldn't just roll up for your confirmation. You should just roll up for your wedding and the odd funeral and never set foot in a church again, should you then have access to the graveyard. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if we go down that road. If we go down that road in saying, build your own, it's not very Christian either, is it? I find it difficult to talk about religion, which is, religion's also supposed to be about love and care and giving and your fellow man, and then saying, well, if you're not my religion, go and sort out a burial place for yourself. It seems contradictory. Greg, the Catholic religion buys... Oh, just read that. Okay, thank you. Greg, Paul Murphy is lining his child up for some amount of bullying when he starts school. Bad enough calling a boy Juniper, but the neutral gender thing is giving bullies more ammo, and kids can be very cruel. They can, but maybe he's looking at a world saying by the time we get to that point that your name or your gender might not be a cause for bullying. I don't know. I don't know what his thought process is. A caller says, I think this nonsense about children's sexual identity has to stop. No one is going to tell me whether or not I can call my child princess or tell her that she's pretty. Children raised in the manner being planned by Mr. Murphy will only further confuse children when they most need reassurance and guidance. But do you know what's going to happen? Right. The world will tick on the way the majority of it want to. The majority want it to. What individuals do or what they might campaign for doesn't mean things are necessarily going to change. The majority of people will make those decisions, if the truth be told. And in fairness, in some areas, there's a pushback already. So gender neutrality in Ireland, not a great idea. Listening in from France, and you never hear the likes of that mentioned. We just gave birth to our son last week after having our daughter 19 months ago. Congratulations, by the way. They're very happy to have both genders and looking forward to bringing them up with unlimited possibilities. It was hard enough sending our oldest called Aoife to creche. Not easy to pronounce for the French. Imagine sending someone with no gender. Okay, hopefully they've managed to get their... tongue around even at this stage in terms of pronunciation. Listen, I actually think that to suggest that you're limited by, if you're I just think Mr. Murphy, in saying that you're limited by your gender, I think that's really quite offensive to males and females, for that matter, and I've mentioned the amazing people who've achieved what they've achieved because of, regardless of, irrelevant of their gender, they've just become incredible people. And I don't think, and I think it's a strange position to suggest that being a boy or being a girl holds you back. I think that takes that whole argument up into another stratosphere, to be honest. Oh my God, this world is really, really crazy. Instead of parents teaching the children, it's the other way around. Well, the world's the world. This is individuals, okay? Will there be coverage on the Spotlight documentary of the murder of Paul Witters in Derry in 1981 by plastic bullet? Certainly something I believe we've been pursuing. If not, we should certainly look at that a little bit more. Greg, I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts on Silicon Valley Bank collapse. It appears here we go again. Joe Public is going to have to pay for the gambling of the big boys once again. Well, we're not going to have to here at the moment. In terms of the British operation, HSBC has taken that over. So that seems good news in keeping those industries going. I think the state in America has taken over the interests over there. And it seems bank shares have bounced back. So this is not going to be a house of cards or dominoes effect at this point, it seems. But certainly something we can look at. Good morning, Greg. COVID app is gone. But the Cowboys, the Guards, still have the pandemic powers. Surely they should have been abolished last year. If a lot of those not... what's that word when something is low and then it ceases to be by a designated date? I can't remember the word. Hi, Greg. Would like if you'd mention, can we get Donegal supporters out in force at McCool's Park on Sunday? Let's get behind this young Donegal team. Would be fantastic to see as many Donegal flags in green and gold as possible, like the good old days. Let's not be outnumbered in our home ground. Well, hopefully not. We would encourage a full house, of course. If you can't get to it, or even if you are at the game, don't forget to we're doing live commentary, as you would expect, with Oisín and the crew on Sunday. So if it were me, I like the commentary. I'd have my headphones on the FM, listening in the ground. But if you can't make it, we'll keep you up to date. There's no such thing as floating turbines. They're anchored to the seabed. It just sounds good. I know what you mean. Obviously, they can't. How else would they be? How else would they stay where they are if they weren't anchored in some way or form? I get you. Okay, we are going to take a break. We're going to be back with much more on the show very, very shortly. Stay right where you are. Here's the bingo numbers.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 15th of March. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S13. It's game number 11. The numbers are 73, 87, 17, 26, 70, 37, 57, 21, 9, and finally 63. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
New football boots for the season ahead at Brian McCormick Sports. Classic triple black boots in soft ground. Adidas Predator accuracy with improved texture across the strike zone in classic soft ground sole unit. Try the classic Puma King Top SG with a sleek soft leather in classic 6-stud for extra grip. Get back to training with all your essentials, shorts, socks, gum shield and kit bag. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Click bmcsports.ie.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and delighted to welcome onto it now Ailish Doherty, Managing Director of the Donegal Airport. Good morning to you. Great to have you back on the show.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, and there's a theme, a positive theme to our conversations of late in terms of, the bounce back, good numbers, looking forward to a good season. And now we're talking about another connection. Loganair's restoring its services between Donegal and Glasgow. A summer timetable runs, doesn't it, from the 1st of July to the 24th of September. What's the significance of this from your perspective, Ailish?
This is huge for us. We've been trying for a number of, at least over a year now, to get the route reinstated. We know there's a huge demand. There's strong connections between Donegal and Scotland. The route was badly missed while it was off, and we're just delighted to be able to have Loganair come back to us this summer.
When will the flights operate? They're twice weekly, but when are they?
It's twice weekly, yeah. So they'll be operating on a Saturday and a Sunday, right through from the 1st of July until the 24th of September. So it's a small start, and we hope to be able to grow on it. So if the passenger numbers are there for the summer, then Loganair have said that they will certainly look at continuing the service on beyond that, and possibly increasing the frequency as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's good business practice, isn't it? I mean, you know, you don't want to offer the sun, the moon and the stars and then have to retract it. Go soft to begin with, although it's not insignificant, and then if the demand is there, build on that.
Exactly, and I actually spoke with Loganair yesterday, and passenger numbers have exceeded their expectations already on the route. So there's strong bookings up ahead. So we're delighted, and we haven't even started selling the seats ourselves yet. We will be putting in Loganair's own reservation system, so people will be able to call into the airport, make their bookings, or they can book online at the minute as well.
I mean, you talked about the strong connections, and of course they're obvious. What are your passengers? Do you know what I mean? Are they going for a Saturday night? Are they just going for, because obviously if you're going on holiday, you'll go out Saturday, come back the following Saturday. I'm not sure how many people do that. So what are your sort of clientele for these flights, do you think?
Well, we'd have different varying types of people travelling, but a lot of our passengers would be more elderly people who'd be coming home, maybe living in Scotland, or coming home to visit family and friends for the summer season. So we'd have people that would be coming for extended periods of time as well. So the flights will certainly suit them. They're not ideal maybe for people that want to go for a weekend or a short break. And that's why we would hope in the future to be able to reintroduce a midweek service to facilitate that, or at least a Friday, Sunday or Monday or something like that there. But for the moment, we do feel that there will be a good demand for the flights, even if they are at the weekend, because passengers will be coming. It's holiday time. Traditionally, you've got the Glasgow Fair fortnight there in July. The bookings already for that are very strong. So, we think that we will have good passenger numbers.
Yeah, and I presume down the line, maybe for winter, they might look at what interest there might be for people travelling over for sporting events, for example, and they might slightly adjust the timetable maybe to better accommodate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Saturday and Sunday, the flight timings were correct for that would be ideal for people that want to travel, maybe to go to see the Celtic matches. So we will explore all those opportunities going forward as well.
Might be the odd Rangers fan on the plane as well, but it'd be the odd one.
We won't turn away anybody.
Okay. Right, okay. So anytime you can talk about new services, getting the more use of the tarmac, it's always good, isn't it? Do we know what cost situation is? I mean, the costs probably are less easy to predict. Presumably it depends on how much of the plane's booked out and all that, the usual rules that apply to flights. Is that correct, Ailish, or is it a fixed
the
price?
fares are starting at €75 if you're travelling from Donegal to Glasgow, or £75 sterling if you're coming from Glasgow to Donegal on the first leg of your trip. So, I mean, they're fairly good fares when you consider the cost of even the ferry at the minute is, you can't get a ferry for less than €300. So, they are quite comparable. And again, people are travelling, it's less than a 1 hour flight. The airport's on your doorstep. So, I think that people will be willing to pay something like €75 to travel to Glasgow. It includes a 15-kilo checked baggage as well, which is quite good.
Yeah, into a city and explore that city. Many people have already, but for some it'll be a first opportunity, I imagine. What else was I going to ask you? Right, okay, so you can currently book on loganair.co.uk. Their booking system will be embedded into your system soon. Is that what you said? Or
yeah, well, what they have is they always have the online booking, which is where a lot of people book, but some people do like to come to the airport as well. And we will be hoping to be able to offer maybe senior citizen discounts and student fares, and those would only be bookable through Loganair's own reservation system rather than online. So we will be getting that system installed here, and people can either call and make the booking through ourselves directly or book online.
All right, and that's another thing. Try ring Donegal Airport and not Donegal Airport. Try and ring Dublin Airport and book a flight on the telephone. It's great to be able to ring 07495 48284 with any questions as well too. I'm sure the staff there are more than happy to answer. All right, so that's good. Anything else in the works? You're always obviously pursuing. I think the last time we talked, you kind of indicated that you were working on a few things. I imagine this was amongst them, but still obviously looking at any potential opportunities for the airport all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And we're putting together a route development fund at the moment, and we will be hoping to look at some additional routes or some additional charters. We're just, coming out of COVID, 2023 looks to be a year when we can actually start to really investigate further opportunities, and we'll be taking anything that we can get coming our way.
Yeah, can you look at bookings and get a sense of those that maybe are flying into Dublin and then straight on to Donegal? Can you get a trend? Is that doable?
Yeah, obviously the transatlantic bookings, they're huge for us. There's been a great growth in them, and obviously the strength of the US dollar is helping bring Americans into Ireland this year. And I spoke to Emerald Airlines the other morning as well, and they're very pleased with the actual amount of passengers that are making that transatlantic through booking. It makes travel a whole lot easier. It means that if you're traveling from Donegal, you can connect to 14 different cities within the US and Canada. Your baggage is transferred right through. You don't have to pay your baggage fees for a second time. So, it's quite an attractive fare.
And also, not to mention, can you imagine landing at that airport? You don't only do it once, you want to do it over and over again. Do you know what I mean? That is how your holiday starts. I mean, can you imagine how that would feel to someone who's not, maybe we take things for granted a little bit. I wouldn't suggest you would, Ailish, but do you know what I mean? Can you imagine that being your arrival? I mean, it would be something else, wouldn't it? And then the Cade Meter Fulcher that you get, that we do as you make your way into the airport building.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are a small airport, and our staff have the time and can take the time to be that little bit, extra friendly with people, because we're not as busy as some of the major airports. And it's nice. I mean, Dublin Airport is a huge airport. It's, the passenger volumes are massive. People kind of want to come out and see the regions as well. So, for the west coast of Ireland, it's ideal to fly in. You can fly into Donegal and, start your journey on the Wild Atlantic Way, make your way down the west coast of Ireland, and even fly out maybe from Kerry or somewhere like that there back to Dublin. So there's endless opportunities there.
Yeah, exactly. And a big job for people who market this stuff to do that and give everyone the best chance. Okay, listen, great stuff. Good to hear. They're live now, by the way. loganair.co.uk. Runs from the 1st of July to the 24th of September. If you have any questions or want to inquire about student fares or any other concessions, 07495 48284. You haven't corrected me, so I got it right. Okay, take care. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care. Right, that is Ailish Doherty there, who's Managing Director of the Donegal Airport. I received 2 letters today, and one of them was a small note that says there is a community clean-up on the 25th of March in the... Oh, my word. I can't read that. I'm going to have to find out where that is. I don't want to... It's Ballyheron, I believe, but I'll double check that. Thanks for the letter. It's not your fault, by the way. I just probably need glasses and I don't have them on. Right, okay, we'll be back with more, including an update on where that clean-up is on the 25th of March after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny are proud to announce that they're now stocking Riker footwear. Riker blend fashionable styles with incredible comfort, striking the perfect balance between fashion and practicality. All Riker shoes are made using unique anti-stress and anti-shock technology to provide the essential support and comfort the brand is known for. Try any of the new season Riker shoes now at Green Shoes, Market Square, Letterkenny.
Artists wishing to submit for this year's Glebe Gallery Open Art Competition should bring their artworks to the Glebe Gallery, Churchill, Letterkenny on the weekends of the 18th and 19th and 25th and 26th of March between 12 midday and 5 p.m. Artists can submit up to 4 artworks and entry fee is €4 per piece. The exhibition will open on Good Friday, 7th of April at 4 p.m. and all are welcome to attend. The exhibition will run until Sunday, the 16th of April. Admission to the exhibition is free. Pictures must be framed and ready to hang if selected. Further details on Glebe House and Gallery Facebook page.
New this week in Home Store and More. All mattress protectors are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price mattress protectors are gone, they're gone. Also, all Pyrex are still half price. But when all the half price Pyrex are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Arcadia Retail Park, Athlone. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Don your Irish dancing shoes and head for Foyleside Shopping Centre this St. Patrick's Day. We'll be painting the town green with great fun for all the family. Music, dancing, face painting, balloon modelling and even green candy floss. Catch the famous parade through the city before more entertainment awaits this St. Patrick's Day at Foyleside Shopping Centre.
All right, you're welcome back to the programme. It is almost time. We welcome into studio now a couple of guests. They are Paul McDevitt and Jimmy Stafford. Hi, Jimmy.
Morning, Greg.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
And hi, Tanya McCole.
Hi, Greg.
Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate it. And also joining us via Zoom is Conor Malone. Hi, Conor.
Morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Now, we didn't give earphones for everyone, but you know what? We'll sort it out. Right, we're not going to just quite announce the winner of the competition just yet. I want to talk about the field, really. Let's put it like that. Paul, we'll start with you. You know, we had the biggest response of all radio stations in the country, in excess of 80 entrants. And again, not just platitudes, genuinely really strong entrance.
Greg, we spoke about this a few times, all of us, and the standard is just unbelievable. And I found it very kind of humbling in a sense. The fact that
Jimmy,
each song.
Sorry. Seriously,
Sorry.
I'm talking. Would you Jimmy. Put the phone down for 1 second? Like just for what? What age are you?
Sorry.
Can't help yourself.
Go on, do it. I'm only messing.
No, you're not messing. You're right.
Now tell the whole class. What are you doing?
What are you
Taking
doing?
a selfie.
Tanya wanted a selfie.
No,
I did not want
I did not.
Anyway, as I was saying, because you know what happens, you didn't ask him first, and he's annoyed now, you see, so he'll interfere with it. Anyway, no, the standard was unbelievable, Greg. There wasn't one bad song in it, and you were listening again, and I have to say to everybody, and we've said it numerous times in the show, well done. And if you didn't get through, don't let it put you off by no means, because the standard here, and it shows you what calibre we have up here, when once again we had the highest number, as you say.
Yeah. And I mean, competition is an emotive word for me. I think this was really more as a celebration of the amazing talent that you guys platform on your programs, and you know what I mean. There's no losers here as far as I'm concerned. The big winner here is the scene we have up here.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And I think if you look at the last few years, and you look at when we did this 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then you move it on to now, I mean, even getting it down to the 4 that we got it down to was a really difficult discussion, which we were all involved with. And then when you look at those 4 songs, and we've been playing them on the air for the last week or so, week and a half, the quality is up there with the best at the moment. And from an Irish music, when I look at the likes of the Snow Patrols and Picture This and all that, you look at where they've come. I've said this before, you look at Picture This, where they've come from, where they were a band that just released singles here and there. They started very slowly and lowly, and now look at them selling out stadiums. And no better woman here than Tanya McCole to talk about, how you get there and the hard work it takes. So look, it's been a fantastic and as Paul said, everyone's a winner, and there's quality in those 90 odd songs that we got. Sorry, Greg said that.
Tanya,
I was going to say it.
Tanya, you were and we really appreciate it, you were part of our external judges panel, and there's all different types of music in all different types of genres, and a strong argument was and could be made for any of the final 4, and throw in another 20 of them.
Oh, absolutely.
To proudly go on and represent us, Tanya.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very, very strong contenders this year. I'm excited where this competition's going every year. It's getting stronger and stronger. What's it going to be like next year? But we had 4 seriously good acts, and it was hard. For me personally, it's very hard judging that, to send on someone to Dublin. But it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Conor Malone, obviously you've a huge interest in music as an individual, right? And that was clear from some of our conversations yesterday, but also in terms of booking and, what sounds good, what works well, what's popular, or what will be popular going into the future. Your reflection on the 4 finalists, because we had sort of a new age wave pop there. We had, something that, felt a little bit more, that's been around a bit, something maybe brand new. And it could, those descriptions could apply to any of the acts, but your reflection on the 4 finalists.
Yeah, the first thing that has to be said of the 4 finalists is, any one of the 4 would have gone on as a finalist in the national competition and gone toe-to-toe with the rest of the country and done Donegal proud. There's 4 of them, 4 excellent tracks, which, if you're a glass half full guy, it means that there was no wrong choice to make because whoever we picked was going to be a worthy winner. Glass half empty, it means there's 3 deserving acts that aren't going to go through, but they very, very well could have. But I just thought it was fascinating as, you know, a snapshot of where live music is in Donegal at the moment and the quality that is out there. And as you were saying, 80, 90 entrants into the competition overall. The live music scene here in terms of what people are producing is in an amazing place. And, you know, I would say to people that are listening to this, enjoying the songs, go and check out the live music scene locally and give local artists that are, you know, they're producing works of genius almost on a daily basis. Go and give them your support.
And Conor, the one thing I would change about this whole process is the name of the competition. And it's the last bit about the search for local hero talent, or whatever way it was phrased, because all of the acts are either big already, certainly going to make it big, I think, and I'm not just saying that. I think there's at least a couple of them that are gonna blow up. But already they're touring. They've got great plans for the summer. They've got festivals. They've got music coming out. They've got support. You know, some of these bands are people's favourite bands. You know, so that's the one thing I would change about it, because this wasn't new. A lot of the people that are applied are amazing, well-established talent, and I think fair play to them for actually engaging in this process in the way it was set out. Does that make sense? I probably shouldn't say, but you know what? I prefer to be honest than to not be.
Yeah, and you know, it's the kind of problem with this competition thing. I mean, if me and you were to run 100 meters, we can see who breaks the tape first, and it's objective, you know. And if you are an act that is successful, that is producing really, really good stuff, in many ways it's going, well, who are we to be judging that that's better than that? It's all purely subjective. And it is kind of, you know, these are successful people in their own right.
And that's why I say, Conor,
exposing themselves to our judgment.
Well, it's not, because the NBC, the thing is, and this is the way I think it should be restructured going forward, it's an amazing platform.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the one thing I would change. Tanya McCall, you were agreeing there. I mean, you know, these are all 4 of them could sell out places. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, it depends on the scale and at what time now or in the future. But these are brilliant.
Absolutely.
Established acts.
We had different genres to try and judge, but they're individually brilliant. I would go and see any of these acts individually, and I'm genuinely mean that. And I have seen some of them before, and they're brilliant live. And like Conor says, you know, this what's coming out of Donegal at the moment is, I'm blessed to be part of the scene, you know. And we had 4 really strong acts that were representing Donegal, and like you say, they got exposure and great exposure on Highland Radio. And I'm looking forward to seeing where some of these acts are going to go in the future. And I know we discussed this yesterday, that some of them are on the cusp. There's no doubt about this. Some of them are on the cusp, you know.
And I think, Greg, you look at someone like Tanya again here, but I mean, who's worked damn hard over the years, and like she's doing Vicar Street in a couple of weeks' time, the John Prine and things like that. So, you know, you're aiming, everyone's aiming to get to another level, and it's just by hard work and determination and producing good music as well. And I know Tanya's songwriting is doing a lot of songwriting in America at the moment as well and stuff like that. So, you know,
and for every artist as well, success is gauged differently, because I think 100%. We kind of we have this sort of approach where, and actually another great act who you have had on the show before, George Houston, was on the show yesterday. I asked him, how does he, what is success? You know, what does he see as success? And it was to keep doing what I'm doing. You know, a big show coming up at the end of the month, launching an album, touring it out there. It's not necessarily fast cars and, you know...
the Grammy at the end
of
the day.
Exactly, Tanya. You know, I think maybe us outside the industry sort of say, well, what is... You know, how do you judge success? Packing out the banner. That's success to a person. That's to it, depending on the individual. That is.
Like I said it myself. I said it myself. You know, if I could fill out a local venue with local people, you know, that to me was success. That was support. Do you know that? And the Donegal people are just second
or
to
keeping
none.
a crowd quiet, or having them screaming from the rafters.
Yeah.
That could be what someone judges as.
And you know what
success
George
as
has done, Greg? He's gone and put this little tour together, and he's gone out and said, and he contacted Paul and me and said, "Can I come up?" And he's 5 or 6 and he's doing wheelings, and he's just pushing himself.
Great maturity to
Absolutely.
his work.
We've
Always
seen a
has
big,
been,
just taking George for example, as you say, Jimmy, we've seen a massive change. You know, he seems to be stepping up to the mark all the time, and it's only going to get bigger and better for George. And he's not on his own, there's all artists.
Social media is very important in all this as well. I have to say,
definitely.
social media, for myself personally, puts rears and seats for me personally, you know, and social media, without it, I wouldn't have sold half the tickets I sold. I know that.
And Conor, your job's a blessing and a curse all at the same time. Obviously, with it comes great pressure, because obviously you need to get those bums in seats and you want to match the artists with the audiences. But also you get to sort of, you know, give people opportunities or see them come into their own. I mean, it is I presume, sorry, and I shouldn't. It's a great place to work for you.
Oh, look, for me, I'll be honest, it's the best job in the world. It's not really a job at all. If you can get up in the morning and look forward to going in to do what you're doing, you know. Yeah, but just on that, what is success? It reminds me of a couple of years ago, I had Luca Bloom in, and I was showing him down to the green room. I said, "How's things?" And he goes, "Absolutely brilliant." And I said, "Jesus, you know, it's great to hear somebody so upbeat, you know." And he just looked at me and he went, "I'm coming here, I'm going to play music for 2 hours to people that will listen to it, sell a few CDs and go home." He goes, "I'm living the dream." You know, and you know, if you can hold on to that attitude and just kind of realize, I'm very conscious of, you know, there's people around and they work because you have to get the money to pay the mortgage and you don't necessarily like what you're doing. For me to come in every day and do this, it's a dream.
All right, okay. Well, let's talk about the winners then. So I don't know how this all works. I don't like to plan, but then sometimes I think I should. But I prefer, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. Right, 08660 25,000. If you want to get involved in the conversation, give us a call on 07491 25,000. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show, and we have in studio with us Jimmy Stafford, Paul McDevitt, Tanya McCole, and Conor Malone is with us as well. And I think we could also say hello to James. Good morning to you, James. How are you getting on?
Morning, Greg. How's things?
I am doing good. What's the crack?
It's all quiet right in Austin, Texas.
There is the real talent in this outfit. It's Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, how are you?
It's good to have you on the board. The signal's not great, but listen, we wanted to connect with you to congratulate you and to let you know that Charles James and the Rise is the winner of our competition, and you are going on to represent this region, and we are delighted for you as well. Done.
Oh my God.
You're joking, he said.
Yeah, I know. What do you think? No, we're not. Listen, and I'm going to, if you can, the signal's not great. You're in America, you're on Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to maybe get a word from the people that were involved in selecting you, right? And I'm delighted for you. So really, really am, genuinely. Conor Malone, you can see him. He's on the line with you guys. Not quite America, but anyway.
South Central buffet.
Okay. Come here. Worthy winners, Conor.
I think so. Congratulations, guys. I was saying this yesterday. I love the song. Really clever lyrics, you know, kind of extending the metaphor, you know, black dog barking louder now. And it was the delivery as well. I was saying that when you were singing that, I nearly wanted to give you a call and make sure you were okay, you know, give you a hug. I really, really felt the emotion that was into the song. And, you know, there's certain songs that you hear and you just stop what you're doing, you listen. And that's one of them for me, and I just thought it was fantastic. Well done.
The song connected James and Catherine with people. How is that important as songwriters, as performers?
Yeah, it's everything. It's everything as a songwriter. I think you strive to write something. You know, for me, it has a very personal meaning.
Talk to us a little bit about that, if you're okay to do so.
Yeah, of course. I lost my father in 2020, in August 2020, heart attack. And then it was kind of a period of like grief after the fact, and anxiety and depression and all the things you go through. And that's kind of where the song came from. But as we've played it and played it to people, a lot of people talk about their own elephant. It could be anything. It could be the loss of a sibling. It could be the loss of a parent. It could just be life getting you down. And I think for us with this one, people are connecting to it in their own personal way, which has been fantastic. And that's really what you hope for when you write it.
Okay. And I suppose we can remember your dad in this whole process then as well, because it's about your loss of him in that process. Tanya, this also was a song that you were very happy with
yes.
to see win.
Congratulations, guys.
This is Tanya McCall, by the way. Sorry, you can't see Tanya.
This one got me in the fields. I have to say, this one got me in the fields. I thought it was a fantastic song. And like you just said, I can identify with that song. I lost a sibling. You wrote this for your dad. I think of my sister. And I think for you guys as songwriters, that's brilliant for people to identify with your song in their own personal way. And I identified with that song. I thought the melody, I thought the lyrics, I loved your song, and it was a very, very strong contender. And yeah, you got me in the fields.
Yeah,
you really
right.
did.
And the public vote, by the way, I should reference that, and we thank the thousands of people that entered. It was extremely tight, which I thought was fantastic, because that really was so encouraging, and you did fantastic in that as well. Jimmy?
Yeah, like that. When I heard the song first, Greg, it just blew me away. And, as Conor said there, I was singing that chorus, Black Dogs Barking Louder. Now, I was actually singing the chorus. I spoke to somebody yesterday, they heard it on the radio last week, and they actually stayed in the car till the song finished, that it just got them. So, we talk about music, but the lyrics too are catching more and more people now. It is definitely, I think people are more, I don't know, is it something since COVID, people are more tuned in now to what's been said and what's been sung. So James and Catherine, well done, and I'm delighted for you. It's 5:30 in the morning out there, so it's a great start to the day.
It's how it's arranged too. The big guitar, that's called a cello, isn't it? It is. I think the addition of that was really, really added to it as well. I don't know, as I say, I don't know enough about this stuff to know why. I just know that it really added something to it. Paul, an awful lot to it. Paul?
Yeah, as I say, once again, congratulations, James and Catherine. I'm just basically echoing what everybody said. The first time we heard the song, and as Tanya said, there's a connection. I lost my own father last year, and I was sitting there where you're sitting, Greg, and it just knocked me sideways. Every word, I hung on to every word. And as Jimmy said, the way it was written, I found it therapeutic, and I know chatting to James himself, he found that as well. So excellent, well done, congratulations, and we're absolutely delighted for you.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay, last words to you guys. Thank you so much, James and Catherine, for joining us. We'll be in contact with you to find out what happens next and all that stuff. But all 4 acts were amazing, genuinely amazing, because I know I was in on the call. But I think that makes you guys, Charles, James and the rest, I think, and the song Elephants, I think that makes it even more special that you were in against such amazing talent that we have, and you are all brilliant in your own right, and all big careers and big followings as is. This is just an extra platform for us all to celebrate that what we have here.
Thank you so much.
We literally have no expectations.
Well, listen, go and have celebrate with a nice bowl of cornflakes. See you guys. We're going to play out with it. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so very much.
Bye, guys. Well done. Congratulations.
Conor, thank you so much for your insight and input into it. Always considered and intelligent too. All right, thanks very much. Okay. I don't know why I sound surprised. And Tanya, thank you for calling up to us.
Thanks,
we really do appreciate it. And is it last but not least, Paul? And Jimmy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg.
I feel I kind of have to talk to you as a collective. Right, okay, so we are now, if I can push the right buttons, we're going to listen to the winning song as performed live on this show.
living like I wanna die. Broken heart, battle cry. Disregard the alibi. Afraid to go to sleep in case I dream. Never thought I'd get so low. Let me off the merry-go. Round and drown me ever slow. Gasp for breath as another day begins. Black dogs barking louder now. The elephant's got my chest pinned down. Paralyzed by nothing at all. I rise, convinced that I'm bound to fall in this life. These dreams, so much harder than it seems. We've all got our cross to bear, some hidden hurt, a deep despair. Treading water, gasp for air. These life's sweet imperfections give you hope. Black dogs barking louder now. The elephant's got my chest pinned down. Paralyzed by nothing at all. Convinced that I'm bound to fall in this life. These dreams, so much harder than it seems. Barking louder now. The elephant's got my chest pinned down. Paralyzed by nothing at all. Arise, convinced that I'm bound to fall in this life. These dreams, it's so much harder than it seems. Black dogs barking louder now. The elephant's got my chest pinned down. Paralyzed by nothing at all. I rise, convinced that I'm bound to fall in this life. These dreams, so much harder than it seems.
All right, that was it. I really enjoyed that too, and I enjoyed that performance. Listening back, it meant an awful lot to them, which is good, isn't it? 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Thanks to everyone who was involved in that whole process. Jimmy, Paul, Tanya, Connor, and all the acts that took part, over 80. The other three finalists, by the way, there is just no doubt they are going places as well. They are brilliant. They're already there, if you know what I mean. They're already there, but there's just no doubt that hopefully the platform, as I tried to describe it, is something that can be built on and worked on. Okay, we're behind a little bit on ad break. Stay where you are. We're going to be talking sleep and business all in the next hour. We'll do the sleep first so you don't fall asleep during the business. I miss it. I'm only joking. Back after these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
PDO Thread Lifts, the ultimate non-surgical lift for the skin, improving facial contours, lifting and tightening jowls, the neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor, 07495 325 75.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're more than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board Namona.
It's where you live. It's where you relax. It's where you make memories. Treat your home to a visit to Cooney's Home Interiors. We have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Go full Lidl for a trolley full of savings. And you won't want to miss these great offers. You could go full Irish stew with Bord B approved Irish stewing beefsteak just $4.19. And Irish rooster potatoes just $1.26. Plus an 8-pack of Guinness Draft just $13.26. Shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today. Get the facts, be drink aware. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Nunes, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, the weather forecast for today reads as follows. Cloudy with outbreaks of rain, preceded by some local sleet or snow, becoming wet through the afternoon and evening with poor driving conditions. Temperatures of 2 to 5 degrees, fresh and gusty southerly winds. Looking out the window again here at the mountaintop in Letterkenny, sideways snow. So be careful out there. It's not behind us just yet. Some requests as we head towards 11. Wishing Pat Price in Kirkstown, Letterkenny a very happy birthday today. Lots of love from Julie, Anna and Emily. Have a great day, Pat, is the message there. Brian Friel, Ard McCool, Stranola. Happy 80th birthday to you, Brian. And that's coming in from Martina, Eamon, Keeley, Annie Lee and Alton. I'd appreciate if you could wish Tishi Kun from Buncrana a happy 82nd birthday. She celebrated her 80th during lockdown and despite that got all wishes from half the cast of Emmerdale. Oh, well wishes, brilliant. Tishi is an inspiration to many. There have been lots of hurdles and even with a full leg amputation 3 years ago, another ailment, she never lets it get her down or stops her from travelling. As everyone knows, Tishi in Buncrana knows, she's the life and soul of a gathering and sharp as a brush. You're an inspiration to many. Happy birthday, Mum. What a lovely request coming in from your daughter, and you clearly are an amazing person. And last but not least, Leon Brogan, Crow Patrick Avenue, Letterkenny, 4 today from Granny and Grandad and from Dad, Mum and baby sister Ariana Rose and my own son, our own wee boy Aaron, nearly forgot his name, 17 today. Unbelievable, isn't it? Happy birthday, Aaron, and everyone out there who's celebrating a birthday, of course.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. It's now time for a news update, and we say good morning to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A 10th arrest has been made by detectives investigating the shooting of a senior police officer in Omagh. DCI John Caldwell was wounded after being shot when he was coaching a youth football team in Omagh last month. He remains critically ill but stable. The 45-year-old to be arrested was detained in the Belfast area under the Terrorism Act last evening. Donegal County Council is being urged to hold an urgent workshop on the need for a municipal cemetery in Letterkenny. The issue has been raised by a number of members, most recently Councillor Donald Coyle, who says the existing church-run facilities at Conwell and Leck will be at full capacity in less than 10 years. He says the council has a full role to play in resolving that issue. He wants new communities in the area to be centrally involved in the discussion. Ramelton is set to receive €40,000 under the 2023 Historic Towns Initiative. It's one of 11 historic towns nationally to receive part of the €1.3 million national funding package. It'll help provide jobs through heritage-led regeneration, aid the rebuilding of local economies and address vacancy with heritage as a focal point. A rehab centre in Lifford has had a number of non-compliances noted in a report published today. The Lifford accommodation was inspected by HICWA in November of last year. It was noted the centre was taking proactive steps to identify service improvement issues but had fallen short in delivering some of those. The full report is available online. Donegal County Council is looking at the prospect of purchasing houses in which tenants are facing eviction. The issue was raised this week at a municipal district meeting by Councillor Jerry McMonigal. He told the meeting that his understanding was council policy was that only vacant possession was sought and houses were not bought with tenants in situ. However, officials confirmed to him that because of recent government guidelines, that policy was now being overridden and the council is looking at taking involvement in the current scheme. The headlines were back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thank you very much indeed. Coming up very shortly, we are going to be answering your sleep questions as part of Wellness Wednesday. Motti Verghese of the Sleep Clinic will be joining us very shortly. Get your questions into us, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps or text that number. You can give us a call too, by the way, 07491 25,000. Back with that and much more besides after the break.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7. Enjoy bowling, laser quest, soft play or a game of pool before dining in our fast food diner or family restaurant. See arena7.ie.
There was a monster who lived in the trees, in the house that would rattle and shake in the breeze. It was cold and small, with a terrible leak that would drip on her head and her hands and her beak. She needed it fixed and all in one batch, because she had an egg that was ready to hatch. So she went to the credit union for a renovation loan and got new windows, insulation, and extended her home. Monster loans from the credit union. Imagine more. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. If you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €3.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Looking to treat your mum to something personal this Mother's Day? Add your own special touch to the iconic Dunnes Stores e-gift card. Choose a photo of mum or select a snap of someone she loves, whether it's you, a family member or even a furry friend. Upload your photo and we'll add it to her e-gift card, which she can use across fashion, food and homeware. Buy and send a personalised e-gift card at any time or schedule it to arrive on Mother's Day. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms, conditions, exclusions and minimum spend apply.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
LiveScore Bet would like to welcome you to Cheltenham. Nestled against the Cotswolds, it is the perfect place to unwind and refresh your mind, body and soul. A Regency town that's intimate and friendly, a civilised place of culture and learning, of peace and quiet, except for 4 days of the year.
No matter who you're backing this Cheltenham Festival, celebrate with great offers from LiveScore Bet.
T's and C's and account terms apply. Bet responsibly. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
Now, as I mentioned a little earlier, World Sleep Day is Friday, March 17th. And today, as part of Wellness Wednesday, we're going to be talking about that in a moment. Just bear with me for a second because our guest is just struggling to hear us, I think, at the moment. So I'll get back to that in a second. Stay right where you are. I think I know what the problem might be. Right, 086 60 25,000. Just to remind you of the telephone number, give us a call on 07491 25,000. If you prefer, you can text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000. I have a very important update for you. It's the letter we received for a community cleanup. It's on the 25th of March. And the 25th of March, that's correct. Spread the word. I've been asked to do so. It's in Binion and Ballylennon and the community. Thank you, Greg, they say. So hopefully they have a big turnout for that. And remind me a little bit closer to the time and hopefully I'll be able to get a few extra people out by reminding them. Right, hopefully now Motti Verghese can hear me. Can you hear me, Motti? No, unfortunately, he cannot, and I don't know why. There is no reason for that to be the case. Okay, I shall endeavour. Can you hear me okay, Motti? No, you can't. He can't hear me at all. Right, okay, well, we'll get to that in a moment. So what we'll do is we will go to some of your comments just while I sort that out. It'll take me a second. Do you have any Oh, that's sleep questions. Let's take that break, actually. Do you know what? Because I need to be able to focus on this other part of the technology here, and I can do that whilst I'm playing a break. So stay right where you are. Your sleep questions, fingers crossed, on the way.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Get the Irish Daily Star today for your free 16-page Cheltenham pullout. Our man Brian Flanagan gives you the inside scoop from the track. We have Davy Russell and Andy Mack's exclusive views, plus all the top tipsters ready to get you first past the post all week. The Irish Daily Star, #1 for racing, #1 for you.
Plug in to the all-electric Volkswagen e-Up City Car with a range of up to 253 kilometres. Power up with seamless smartphone integration and exhilarating all-electric acceleration from the moment you press go. Plug in and power up with the all-electric Volkswagen e-Up from just €27,850. Search Volkswagen e-Up for more. Volkswagen.
Check out these special offers at Simpson's Supermarket, Letterkenny. There's Neil's Soda Bread Flour, 3 kg, only €2. Cheerios, 700 gram, €2. There's 2-pack of McVitie's Digestives, only €2. Coke, 2-pack, 3 litre, €4. And Gentile Toilet Roll, 24-pack, only €6.50. Plus lots of other offers in store for St. Patrick's and Mother's Day. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson's Supermarket for great value every day.
Happy Mother's Day. Treat your mum this Mother's Day to a bottle of perfume or a cosmetics gift from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. You'll find Chanel, Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, Elizabeth Arden and many more. Great value for great mums this Mother's Day. See in store or order online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
Every Tuesday morning on Highland Radio, we'll be joining Colm and Sophie for Clare Cigar as we catch up with them for some Canchuggers crack on the way to school. Next time, Colm and Sophie will be chatting about a special birthday.
Agus by Jessica for a couple of Fakala Usage Freshing. So Biggie Lane, Mudging Jamarch and Shaw are Highland Radio.
The Naughty Alarm Clock. Highland Radio.
Arna Weenu ag Udaras Krelahain the Heron, La Chantalia Cadinis Telefisha.
Okay, hopefully you're awake because we have finally connected, I believe, to Marty Verghese. He's a sleep physiologist and behavioural sleep therapist at the Sleep Clinic, and we're speaking to him today as part of Wellness Wednesday, ahead of World Sleep Day, which is Friday. Good morning to you. Can you hear me okay, Marty?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much for your patience with it.
It was on our end, and I appreciate your patience. So, I mean, we were raised being told go to bed and told by our parents, our guardians, our grandparents, whoever it might be, how important sleep is. So how important is sleep to our general well-being, Motti?
I think sleep is very, very important. We have known that information for quite a long time. Sleep plays a significant role in optimal physical well-being and also our mental well-being. There's enough studies that prove that when we haven't slept well, we're going to feel a little bit more anxious and stressed the next day. So there is a bidirectional or a reciprocal relationship between sleep and physical and mental well-being.
What are the stages of sleep and what are the important stages? Because lots of people now have smartphones and watches and they'll allegedly track their sleep and they'll talk about light sleep, awake, REM, and it'll break it down into hours and all that type of thing. Firstly, I mean, are they in any way accurate? But secondly, presumably they are based on some science. And what is that science?
Yes, sleep happens in cycles, and each cycle is about 90 to 120 minutes long. So our first sleep cycle could be 90 minutes, and the last one, the one before we wake up in the morning, could be 120 minutes. And each cycle of sleep consists of different stages of sleep. So it's broadly divided into two, which is non-rapid eye movement sleep or non-REM sleep and REM sleep. So non-REM sleep consists of stage 1, 2, and 3. Now, we spend most of the night in stage 2 sleep, which is a very light stage of sleep, about 45 to 50%. But the stage 3 sleep is very physically refreshing sleep and happens mostly in the first half of the night. We produce a lot of growth hormones and it's very physically refreshing. And we also form some memories in that particular stage of sleep. Whereas REM sleep is more mentally refreshing sleep, and it happens mostly in the second half of the night, but we do get some in the first half as well. So it's very, very, very important for us to ensure that we have a good sleep opportunity, that we provide enough time to ourselves to go to bed and sleep, to make sure that we get sufficient quantity of sleep. But if there is a problem with the quality of sleep, that can stop the progression of sleep into deeper, refreshing stages of sleep, like stage 3 sleep or REM sleep.
All right, so you may sleep for your 6, 7, 8 hours, but it's the quality of the sleep that can be important too, not literally between closing and opening your eyes.
That is true. Both the quantity and quality of sleep. So in sleep disorders like insomnia, a person may find it difficult to fall asleep when they first go to bed at night, or fall back asleep when they wake up at night. In either of those situations, despite having an adequate sleep opportunity, we end up with reduced sleep quantity because a lot of time was spent trying to get to sleep or get back to sleep. So that's one scenario where we can have a problem with the quantity of sleep. The other one is the quality of sleep. If we have a noisy environment, if the light level isn't right, if the temperature isn't right, or if the person snores, or if they have tendency towards sleep apnea, or have restless legs, all of them can affect the quality of sleep. Or stress and anxiety can keep us at a state of hypervigilance and can affect the quality of sleep, where we wake up too many times at night.
Just in terms of the sleeping environment, is that subjective? Because some people might sleep with a light on. Others, I myself, like to go to sleep listening to the radio. Others might like listening to white noise. If the light, the noise, be it white noise or the radio, persists all night, can that or does that affect your sleep, or does that vary from person to person?
It can vary from person to person, but the general ideal advice would be to keep it as dark as you can and keep it as quiet as you can, and have a cooler body temperature or cooler bedroom, not a cold one, but a cooler one as well.
All right, that's very interesting. If everybody that snores, right, and lots of people snore, does everyone that snore not get good sleep really? Or not ideal sleep then, let me put it like that.
Well, it depends on what happens. What is the consequence of snoring? We snore because the space in the back of the throat, or what we call the pharyngeal space, when we don't have enough room there, that's when, as we breathe in and out, it has to pass narrowed air passage, and it makes a noise. And that's what we hear as snoring. Normally, when snoring happens, there's a possibility that sometimes there can be a reduction in the flow of the air in and out of your lungs. And sometimes when the throat is closed in fully, there can be a stoppage or cessation of airflow into our lung. And that can result in reduction in the oxygen levels temporarily, and it picks back up as soon as we resume normal breathing. It can also cause mini awakenings in our brain. Sometimes we can physically wake up. Sometimes we'll have mini awakenings that prevent the progression into deeper, refreshing stages of sleep. So it's not the snoring itself, but what happens, or what are the consequences of snoring.
So you could be making quite a bit of noise, but if your breathing is not restricted as such, the flow of air is adequate, the snoree, let me put it like that, might have quite a settled night's sleep, but the victim, let me put it like that also, they could end up with the disturbed sleep.
That is very possible. At the same time, it's very difficult to evaluate what problem the snoring is causing unless you have a sleep study done in the hospital.
As a sleep specialist, does it frustrate you, the sort of jovial attitude that we have to snoring? Do you know what I mean? That it's just always a terrible snorer, or she's a terrible snorer, and we don't really see it as a medical issue. We see it as a bit of banter or a joke or a distraction, a cause of arguments too, I'm sure, as well. But does it frustrate you that we don't say, hold on, yeah, that is actually something's happening physically there and you need to check what it is?
I think that is true. I think anybody who snores, you'll have to look at your daytime sleepiness or daytime tiredness, particularly in the afternoon, and really have to talk to the bed partner and say, am I just snoring or am I stopping breathing as well? And even the bed partner will not be able to give a very clear picture most of the times because, he or she would be sleeping as well. So that's something that we need to look further into, because it has a lot of health-related consequences, and once treated, it will help us to optimize our health as well.
And can it be treated? I mean, if you go on Amazon or wherever, and we'll get to more general sleep questions in a moment, Doctor. But Motti, if you know, there's things you can put on your nose, there's things you can put up your nose, there's things you can put in your mouth. Are there any physical interventions like that actually work? And if they don't, or if they do, what actually as a sleep therapist can you do to alleviate snoring?
Yeah, so for sleep breathing disorders like sleep apnea, for someone who is diagnosed with sleep apnea, you have to look at how many times the person stops breathing when they're sleeping. And generally, the doctors recommend the use of a device called a CPAP device, which is a mask that you have to put on your face, which is attached to a machine that sits on the bedside locker or on the floor in the bedroom. And that helps to keep the throat open, allowing freer airflow into the lungs, which helps to maintain oxygen levels and improve the quality of sleep. And that's the most commonly preferred treatment for sleep apnea. So some individuals will only have a tendency to snore and stop breathing when they're sleeping on their back. And in those situations, again, you need a sleep study to establish that fact. And in those instances, we can use a positional device to stop the person from sleeping on their back. And in certain situations, some individuals will have a jaw that is slightly pushed backwards, which is compromising the space in the back of the throat. And there are mandibular advancement devices that we could use to bring the jaw forward while they're sleeping to create more room in the back of the throat, again, to allow free airflow.
Okay.
Easier airflow into their lungs.
Right, let's get to some questions here, and hopefully you can help. We understand if they're too specific. I find that even after 8 hours of sleep, I'm still very tired. I've got little to no energy and I struggle to get up. Is there any other factors that could be causing the lack of energy, or am I not getting the right quality of sleep? Now, you'd have to eliminate one problem to make sure and then pursue it if it still persisted. But let's just presume it might be the quality of sleep, if that's okay, Motti.
Yeah, very true, actually. If someone's sleeping, if someone's getting adequate quantity of sleep and they're still feeling tired and sleepy during the daytime, you really have to look into the quality of sleep and what is affecting the quality of sleep. So it's a process of elimination as well. And that's why they need to speak to a respiratory sleep physician to identify different reasons or have a sleep study done to find out what is causing the poor quality of sleep.
I mean, they could be deficient in a vitamin. It could be something as you know what I mean? It may not actually be the sleep.
That is a possibility as well.
Okay, my daughter has a load of soft toys in her room and recently started waking up in the middle of the night talking about monsters. She loves the wee animals, but could there be a connection?
Could there be a connection? There must be some nighttime fear associated with nighttime sleep. So it might be worth looking into it or talking to people who have the expertise in helping with those situations.
Do you have any recommendations on how to wind down before going to sleep? I find my brain so active at night and I really struggle then to actually fall asleep.
Okay. Try and do some journaling. Try and put your day to bed before you go to bed at night. So sometime in the early evening, find some quiet space with a pen and paper and write down the things that, reflect on your day and write down the things that may cause a certain level of anxiety and stress. Rationalize your anxieties. Look for evidences to support your worry. If you can find evidence, it's a rational one. If you can't find evidence, it's an irrational one. See what controllables you can put in place. Also, try and avoid using handheld smart devices for at least an hour or two before your bedtime. And reduce the bright light exposure and make sure that the overhead lights are turned off and just have a floor lamp or a reading lamp turned on. Do a small bit of meditation, a body scan.
Breathing exercises, I presume, that you focus on breathing rather than what's those circular thoughts in your head.
Yes, breathing exercise always helps to stimulate the part of the nervous system that induces calmness and relaxation. So that's always very useful. Very simple breathing exercises like take a breath in and a long breath out, maybe do 10 or 15 of them in the last couple of hours before your bedtime. So have a routine and try not to see it as a burden. Instead, make it part of your daily evening routine.
I mentioned the smart devices a little earlier in terms of, maybe the higher end ones, your Apple Watches or your Samsung watches. Nothing will replace, in terms of as a diagnostic tool of seeing an expert like yourself. But in terms of ongoing monitoring of your quality of sleep, do you see them as accurate? Are they useful?
I think there's in certain situations they are useful, but we have become quite obsessed with the data that we get from all these devices, and we have that tendency to perfect our sleep based on the data, and it's even a condition. And it's something that we need to be careful about. It's a very crude way of measuring your sleep or monitoring your sleep. It's very non-invasive. You're not looking at your brain activity. You're looking at your body movement to find out whether you're asleep or awake, or whether you're in deep sleep or light sleep. So take it with a pinch of salt. If you're sleeping well, and if you are feeling well during the daytime, I think that is enough. We don't need to too closely monitor it using these handheld wrist devices.
A caller says, what's it about me being awake from 3 to 5 a.m. every day, no matter what I do? I've stopped eating and drinking at 7 p.m., but it's made no difference. I've tried breathing, and while that helps a little, it's still a struggle. So they go to sleep in the knowledge that they're going to wake up between 3 and 5. And I think even in that in itself is not helpful. But what could they be doing, I wonder?
Yes. So if you wake up at any time at night from sleep, and if you're taking 30 minutes or longer to fall back asleep, and if that's happening 3 nights a week, it's generally what we call sleep maintenance insomnia. And over time, we can get conditioned to do that as well. So we need to look at what is the actual thought process that's happening when the person wakes up at night. Are they having a meeting with themselves? Are they planning the day ahead? Or are they thinking about things that they have to do the next day? And all of those factors can cause the hypervigilance and keep them awake at night. So when you wake up at night, if you're not able to fall back asleep in about 20 minutes or 30 minutes without looking at the clock, at the first sign of frustration, get up and leave your bedroom for half an hour, and then you come back and start again. Try and do that. It just gives you a new opportunity to fall asleep, and you come back in half an hour, and also reduces your anxiety about not being able to return to sleep. It can help most of the times. Also, the journaling is a very useful tool to plan your day ahead and not do that meeting with yourself at 3 a.m.
Yeah, we can do these triggers. I've found for a period, it comes from time to time, where I'll wake up at 5 and then instantly I'll get my phone. And then I found myself waking up at almost precisely the same time, and I thought, stuff this, take my phone out again. And then I stopped reaching for my phone at that time. And then over the course of the following 2 or 3 days, I stopped waking up at that time. Like, was I emotionally or physically triggering that wake up? And did the action I take help to normalize my sleep again? That's a question. That's what happened to me, by the way. It's not a listener's question, but I just wonder, was that useful?
Yeah. I think it is possible. We're kind of looking for something to feed our brain with at 5 a.m, and can get conditioned to that as well. Like we get conditioned to a lot of different things. I think it's always a good idea to put one at the other. Set your alarm at put the phone at the other end of the room, and you wake up, and then you have to get up to go and turn the alarm off. So it's. Mostly it's morning type people who would have that early morning awakening, and couple that with anxiety, then it causes further awakenings earlier.
Yep, for sure. I don't go to bed until 2 or 3 a.m. and I get up then around 12 midday or 1. Is this type of sleep pattern okay? Now, it might be work related or whatever, I don't know. But yes. Are you getting good sleep between 3 a.m. and 1 p.m.?
I think we have to look at, is that a compulsion or is that a choice that people make? Sometimes we can have a slightly delayed body clock where we don't feel sleepy at 11 p.m., which is kind of a socially acceptable bedtime. Instead, the person can only sleep at 2 or 3 a.m. and can sleep until 12, whereas the socially acceptable wake time would be around 7 or 8 for most of us. So that's, if you look at it, we have 3 clocks in our daily life. One is the sun clock, which determines the day and night cycle. The second is the astronomy clock, which is linked to the sun clock. And then we have the social clock, which is the clock on the wall or the clock on the wrist. So there is a misalignment. So when someone wakes up at 12 consistently most mornings, that becomes the morning time for them. And they can't initiate sleep at 11 or 11:30 at night. Instead, they will have to have enough wake period, so their sleep would only happen at 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's not helpful in general. There's a lot of studies that have mentioned it, that there are certain physical and mental health consequences in those situations. So I think it is something for the person to look into and speak to somebody to make adjustments and how we can advance the bedtime and wake time.
All right, just time for a couple of more questions. Thanks for your time, of course. When I go to bed, it takes me about 2 hours to go to sleep, and it takes my wife about 5 minutes. Even if I'm tired when I go to bed, it's still the same. Can't get off to sleep.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what we call sleep onset insomnia. If you take, again, 30 minutes or longer to fall asleep, and if that's happening 3 nights a week, that's generally what we call sleep onset insomnia. If it's only a few weeks, it's acute, and if it's over 3 months, it's becoming more chronic. Generally, the insomnia is perpetuated by two factors. One is unhelpful behaviors associated with sleep, and the second is dysfunctional beliefs that we keep about sleep, which leads to anxiety about sleep itself. So we need to look at what are the sleep habits that the person is keeping, and also what are the beliefs that he's keeping about sleep. Is he anxious about sleep? Is he worrying about his energy levels the next day, or health-related consequences in the long run, and different factors like that too. And then to try and address that to see whether we can fall asleep quicker. So it's about finding the balance between sleepiness and relaxation. We want to feel sleepy, but we also want to feel relaxed when we are in bed closer to our bedtime.
Yeah, I think the relaxation thing's really crucial, isn't it? I mean, wanting to go to sleep and being able to go to sleep probably are two separate things, and you want them to be able to align. A couple of questions on napping, and you know, the driver safety advice here is if you're tired, take a 15-minute nap and continue your journey. Then is there value to that?
There is value to that. If you're feeling tired, definitely take a 15, stop and take a 10 or 15-minute nap, and then continue. It is proven to improve our alertness levels, particularly in the afternoon between 2 and 4 is what we call a slump period. We have two periods of extreme tiredness in 24 hours. The first one is between 2 and 5 in the morning. It's what we call the window of circadian low. And there's a second that's between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. And we do generally feel a little bit more tired than at other times of the day. So particularly useful if you're driving during that time to, stop, have a cup of tea or coffee if you need to, and then take a 15-minute nap and then continue with your journey.
And a few questions coming into about night shifts, working nights, sleeping during the day, and continental shifts where you're sleeping. Sometimes you work nights, sometimes you work days. I mean, as a sleep specialist, I don't know what advice you could give someone like that, because the body's been thrown left, right and centre, up and down different days of the week and what have you. But anyway, can you unravel that for us in any way? What is your advice for people with those sleep patterns?
Yeah, a couple of tips would be to, instead of trying to switch to, switch your 12 hours in one go after the first night shift, try and delay your bedtime leading up to your night shift. So if you've been on day shifts or days off, start going to bed slightly later, maybe an hour or two later for the 3 nights before you start the night shift. So you have and wake up later as well. So you're partially corrected for the delay in your sleep time. And then when you start night shift, when you come back home after the first night shift, you would only have to correct for the next 4 or 5 hours. Right. So, and also try and reshape the pattern of your light exposure. Reduce the light exposure in the last couple of hours of your shift, if you can, if your work allows to do that, or at least after finishing the night shift, try and avoid bright light exposure. Try not to use your phone, or, we have spring and summer ahead of us. So try and avoid bright light exposure as much as you can. Try not to take your dog out for a walk when you get home in the morning, and try not to exercise before your bedtime, or try not to drive your kids to school because you're being sleep deprived for the last 16, 18 hours. So just be careful with those things. So again, it's all about reshaping the pattern of light exposure and avoiding bright light.
Last question. I've been a very bad sleeper for a few weeks now. I'm lucky if I get 3 or 4 hours sleep at night. I can't take any Nitol tablets because they give me restless leg and arms. I'm 56, and then I wake up when I do sleep. I wake up with headaches every morning. That's an awful lot going on in there, and I'm not sure, maybe it's all sleep associated. But
yeah, I think you should. I think the person should speak to his GP if you can at all, and find out what are the treatment modalities available. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is the first line treatment for insomnia, which is what we offer in the sleep therapy clinic, and which is a very successful, validated, non-medication method to treat sleep difficulties like insomnia.
All right. And do you put any weight into alternative or natural remedies that people can consume before sleep to help calm them? Because I think even if maybe it doesn't actually have an effect, perhaps the placebo effect might help people in falling asleep. I'm not suggesting they don't work, don't get me wrong, but do you subscribe to any natural remedies to assist in people falling asleep?
Well, it is not part of cognitive behavioral therapy. But if somebody is having a cup of chamomile tea before their bedtime, and if that helps them to relax,
it works.
And get a good night's sleep.
Okay.
If it works, it works. I think what we need to be careful about is to make sure that it doesn't become a safety behavior. When someone starts to believe that I have to have a chamomile tea for me to get a good night's sleep tonight, and that poses problems.
That's not constructive either, I suppose.
Right,
I get you. Right, okay, it's kind of a sticking plaster when you want to heal the wound. Okay, listen, thank you so much for your time, Marty. It's been really good. If anyone wants any more information, I presume they can search out the Sleep Clinic and they'll find out more there. Marty Verghese of the Sleep Clinic, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And have a lovely... I don't know who thought it was a good idea to have World Sleep Day and St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, but anyway, we'll get through it. Okay. All right, take care. Thank you so very much indeed. Bye-bye. All right, 086 60 25,000. I got through 90% of those messages and questions. My apologies if we just didn't have time for yours.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top-quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota Hybrid Electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
It's St. Patrick's Week at Salento Strabane, and that means euro for pound at Salento. But even more importantly, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So thank your mum with something special from Salento. And thanks St. Patrick for euro for pound. Salento Strabane. Look good, feel great.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go...
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place Thursday, 6th of April on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Ooh.
Business Matters in association with the ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. Are you a senior manager in the private sector looking to reinforce your leadership skills? ATU are offering a Level 9 Executive MBS in Leadership and Innovation based around action learning starting late April. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 today or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie.
Okay, it is Wednesday, so it's another round of business news and a preview of the Business Matters podcast from Highland Radio, which is available for you now, and we'll talk about how you can listen to it on the radio a little later on. But let's begin by welcoming back onto the programme Kieran O'Donnell. Good morning, presenter of Business Matters.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks for calling in again,
I enjoyed your discussion about sleep there.
Yeah, you were saying you're a bit of a night owl.
I will let me
going to bed earlier and getting up earlier, but a bit of a night owl.
And did you ever try, because of, say, going for a run and seeing if you sleep after that, or getting up early and going for a run and seeing if that impacts the evening times?
If you were running earlier or going to run earlier in the morning with a group, I would sort of discipline myself to get to bed a bit earlier, but if you hadn't to get up early, you definitely wouldn't go to bed early.
So you can do it if you have to.
Correct.
All right, okay. So it sounds like a choice, Kieran, rather than a problem.
We've all choices, Greg.
I know.
Life's about choices.
Come here. Talk to us about this chamber network that's taking place.
Yeah, Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce and Línra Letterkenny are teaming up this afternoon for a business network event between 12 noon and 2 p.m. The event is being held at the offices of Línra Letterkenny at 7 Castle Street. That's top of the church lane just below the cathedral. And I've been told tea, coffee and tray bakes are an offer, Greg, as well as information about promoting Irish in businesses. So you can go and get a cup of tea, Greg, and brush up on your Irish.
Yeah, and particularly as we move into the tourism season, and also just generally the use of the language. And I've spoken to Línra a few times on this, the organisation. It is an advantage. It's not a disadvantage. It is an advantage to your business. So that's a real worthwhile event. That's this afternoon, between noon and 2.
Just started
okay,
12 to 2, yeah.
All right, okay, still 22 minutes before it kicks off. Good news in terms of the provision of housing around Letterkenny?
Yeah, planning permission has been granted for a major housing development in Letterkenny. Development at Glencar contains 82 houses and 2 apartment blocks of 8 apartments. Permission has also been granted for a purpose-designed 11,000 square foot childcare facility for an existing childcare provider in the area to cater for up to 150 children.
All right, good stuff. Thatch Repair Grant Scheme is open for applications now.
Yeah, this is Donegal County Council's award-winning Thatch Repairs Grant Scheme, Greg, that you've referred to, and it's now in its 5th year. The scheme assists the owners and occupiers of thatched dwellings and businesses with their maintenance and repair.
And now all we need is people to be helped with insuring them so that, people can get house insurance. It's crazy at the moment, has been for some time, and people are potentially getting rid of the thatch for a tradition.
Well, you would think if there's going to be a scheme to encourage people to retain it, you would think that the scheme would also include an insurance policy to make sure that everything's okay with it.
No, I'm not quite sure it's in the gift of the council, but definitely on a statewide basis.
I'm aware of we featured someone in the past who had a business and had a problem with insurance because of the thatch roof, so something's not telling.
All right, exactly. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's great to retain them. It's great to give people an opportunity to repair them, and it keeps people who are skilled in that business in work, but it also keeps these beautiful buildings dotted around our landscape, but people need to be able to insure them as well. Right, okay, local distillery owner over in the US of A.
The managing director of Slieve League Distillers, James Doherty, is in Washington, where he's leading up a delegation from the Irish Whisky Association with government officials and Congress members. James is chairman of the Irish Whisky Association and joined colleagues from the Distilled Spirits Council of the US for a meeting in the White House with senior administration officials, and they discussed whisky protection, transatlantic trade and the all-island economy.
Right, good stuff. I think, was the sort of reprisal tax on whisky dropped recently? Do you remember there was a bit of a trade war, and I think tax went on butter and whiskey? I wonder, has that eased, or was any representations made in that regard? Maybe I'm misquoting. I shall Google.
Maybe that's on the agenda out in the White House.
Tell us about the festival programme. What's this about?
Yeah, the closing date for applications for funding under the Regional Festival and Participative Events Programme for 2023 is tomorrow, Thursday, March the 16th. And just to note, Greg, our Dra Walking Festival gets underway this Friday and runs through until Sunday, and you can check out ardra.ie for more information on that event.
All right, thanks very much, Kieran. That's a run through some of the news that is happening out there. Let's talk about this week's podcast now.
Yeah, on this week's show, Greg, we'll be joined by the CEO of the Harris Tweed Authority, Lorna Macaulay, and the winner of the Donegal Local Enterprise Office Student Enterprise Programme for 2023, Matthias Ulisch. So, Greg, in April of last year, Donegal ETB launched the country's first ever certified weaving programme, and while developing the initiative, Donegal ETB was given great support and assistance from the CEO of Harris Tweed Authority, Lorna Macaulay. Lorna visited Donegal last week and spoke at a number of Donegal local enterprise events. She also called to the training centre in Kilcar, where she met the newest intake of participants on the certified weaving programme. In this clip, she talks about the similarities between the Harris Tweed industry and Donegal weaving.
can see an awful lot of similarities between the Harris Street industry and Donegal weaving in particular. Not just the kind of production methods, but, you know, our geography, our challenges, lack of people, distance. But I also, there is a sincerity and an integrity, and I picked up yesterday a real feeling that it's important to the people that this thing carries on here and grows and is and you know, continues for the next generation, and that's what's worked for us.
All right, Kieran, you have a second guest on this week too.
Yeah, the county finals of the Donegal Local Enterprise Office Student Enterprise Programme were held in the Clanry Hotel last Wednesday as part of Donegal Enterprise Week. Matthias Ulish, a TY student at Errigal College, was announced as the overall winner after his business venture, Local Lino Art, which produces handmade lino prints, got the nod from the judges. In this clip, Matthias recalls the market research process that had to be carried out before bringing his winning product to market.
Yeah, there were two stages of market research. First, secondary market research on the internet, and then a primary research with mostly adults in my social environment and teachers in the school.
And what sort of feedback did you get with this?
The feedback on the first day was amazing. I had 3 of my prototypes and showed them to my teachers, and the feedback was just overwhelming. I already got a few pre-orders, and I would say this was one of the key moments to get me through this competition.
Good stuff. We wish him all the success in the future. The full interviews are available on the website right now as part of that podcast, highlandradio.com, or on Spotify or iTunes. And people can listen to the show on air as well, of course, Kieran.
Yeah, Sunday evening, Greg, after the 6 o'clock news.
And what if someone wants to get in touch with you?
Just drop an email, please. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Kieran, listen, thank you so much.
Good morning, Greg.
Just to remind everyone, if you want to listen to those podcasts now, the back catalogue is there as well. It's on our website, highlandradio.com. You can hear those full interviews. Interesting show as always, I am absolutely sure. All right, back with more shortly.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
SuperValu makes saving money as easy as
1, 2, 3, go!
1. We match Aldi on the products you love. 2. Great special offers like Andrex Classic Clean Mega 9 Roll, only €7, exclusive to Real Rewards members only. And 3. Money off vouchers every week on the app. Follow the 1, 2, 3 and save money at SuperValu. T's and C's apply.
Keep your car or van running smoothly with a service at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. Not only will it minimise the risk of a major repair expense, but it will be logged in your vehicle's service handbook and help its resale value. Hegarty's also offer everything from new and pre-owned car sales to parts and body repairs in their approved body shop. Book a service online this month and save €30 when you use the code FORD30. You're always in good hands at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. See Hegartys.com.
Bluebird Care are looking for you. Bluebird Care are currently seeking carers and nurses to join their ever-expanding team. Immediate starts for carers in all parts of the county, especially Letterkenny, Inishowen and Donegal Town. Bluebird Care are also looking for registered general nurses for day and nighttime 12-hour shifts. Contact Bluebird Care on 07491299562 or bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
The perfect Mother's Day gift to see the one and only Tom Jones in Belfast. Join us as Highland Radio hit the road to see the timeless legend as he headlines Belsonic 2023, Friday 16th of June. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast in the 4-star Clayton Hotel Belfast and your standing ticket to the outdoor event. Contact us today on 074 9125,000 to see Tom Jones at Ormo Park Belfast, Friday 16th of June.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, so it's going to become wet through the afternoon and into the evening with poor driving conditions if you're out on the roads. Temperatures of 2 to 5 degrees in fresh and gusty southerly winds. Now, we learnt this week that car parking charges at the new National Children's Hospital will be capped at a maximum of €10 per day. today the plans outlined in new tender documents relating to the planned multi-billion euro facility on the site of St James Hospital in Dublin. Hospital car park charges have been a contentious issue for a number of years, and the way that's phrased, and I'm only reading from an article, it's phrased as if to say it's like great news. Capped at €10 a day, which for a lot of people that will be it. So 5 days a week, 50 quid a week. Multiply that by 4 and so on and so forth. I want to get some reaction to this, and I want to welcome onto the programme now Aaron Daly, whose daughter has been in the Children's Hospital system for her whole life, 17 years. She's 17 now. Aaron, thanks for joining us. We do appreciate your time today.
How are you doing? All
right, I'm doing good. Okay, I mean, listen, we could go back to the beginning of this hospital and its location and... I mean, do you want to... We are where we are, to use that horrible phrase, but your reflections on the decision-making process so far?
Yeah, unfortunately, and we spoke before about the location and impracticalities of putting it in the city centre. And that's especially relevant for families in the northwest or anywhere outside of Dublin that will have to travel down. But families like us that have been using now, my daughter Sophia has been using the hospital since she was 5 days old, and she's now 17. And for as long as we can remember, if you go to Temple Street, there's no actual car park, you're on street parking. If you go to Crumlin, there's a tiny 200 space car park that you can never get into. And, there's lines of cars outside all the time. It's, if you're going to hospital with your sick child, then the whole point is that you try and make it as less stressful as possible. And with the announcement, we all know that we need a new children's hospital. But with the announcement of the city centre, there were concerns about basic things like parking from the minute that it was announced. But we were assured from the start, listen, there's 1,000 spaces, it'll be fine. So as time goes on, now the hospital was supposed to open up in 2020. We're now looking at 2025. And now they've announced that they're putting out this contract for a private contractor to give them a 30-year lease with concessions, which means that they nearly pay them to look after the car park. And this company will be making a profit out of it. Now, it says that it's capped at €10 per day, but that's not much good when you look at families like ours. Like, we have a friend at the moment who's in week 10 in Crumlin. That they're not earning, they're in Crumlin. Actually, everything in the hospital is very much more expensive because for years they used to top up salaries and that from commercial activities in the hospital. So I guess that the main point is that, who's worse off here? It's the people visiting the hospital.
Yeah, and as you say, the car park is being run as a business. There's no other way to describe it. And
it's being run as a business. Yeah. And if you look at it, why wouldn't CHI Ireland run it themselves with any profits that are made? Look after the people that are coming, free parking, whatever costs that are involved, and whatever profits are made, reinvest it back in our hospital or Ronald McDonald House or services for families that are actually going to be there,
Like, and I'm not pitching staff against families, for example, but staff will have free car parking and the majority of spaces are reserved for staff. And that, yeah.
The numbers for staff, there's going to be a couple of thousand staff, if not twice that, working there every day. They only have 340 spaces for staff. They only actually have 350 bikes spaces. Yeah. So, like if you have 3,000 or 4,000 people working in a hospital and city centre, like, where are all these people going to park? Never mind the fact that the hospital's actually built on top of a multi-storey car park. We've all seen pictures of problems with fires and bits and like, the whole thing's madness.
So I just want to recap this, Aaron, because this is something that if you're not affected by it, you might not realise it. With everything that you've went through in caring for your daughter, taking her to and fro from hospital, the emotional pressure that puts on the whole family, you worried for your daughter and the next visit and what might come from that and all. You shouldn't be worrying about where the car's parked. But the reality is that this has, throughout this whole 17 years, parking your car, because in the first instance too, we have to often travel great distances to get to the hospital in the first place, but parking your car is an actual really, really significant added stress over the course of those 17 years. It's not an annoyance or get over it. It's actually a serious problem. Where to park the car, how to afford to park the car, when do you leave? You know, you probably have little tips and tricks about when to leave and arrive. And
we're lucky. We're married, and we have this system now when we go to Crumlin. The two of us go. So I basically drop in the nearest street that we can get, wherever the queue starts for the car park. I drop Sophia and Joan off in the street, and they walk in, and then I join the queue, and I might be an hour or an hour and a half trying to find car parking. Often, by the time I have car parking, their appointment's done, and they're coming out to meet me somewhere, you know. So, and we have a disability badge for the car because Sophia's a wheelchair user. So it is stress, and the expense of families when they go to hospital. Like, you're often there alone, your family members coming. You know, I would have thought the whole point of children's health was to make things easier, to take off a little stress from families, to maybe even make it easy for them to get to hospital and make the experience better. The last thing you want is a private car park company. And actually, it's funny because it says on the article that went out yesterday that it's capped at €10 per day, but that's going to be benchmarked yearly against city centre car park rates.
Which we know what all that means. You know, we know what it means. Like, so get it over the line at €10 a day, which when we say the max, that's what it's going to be. And we know what's going to happen next. I presume it's almost like a separate issue, is it? Because your daughter now moving from the children's hospital system into the adults hospital system. How big of a heave is that for her primarily, but for the rest of you as well, in terms of the continuity of treatment?
Well, from day one, we were told, you know, the new children's hospital was the be-all and end-all. Like, Sophia's 17, she'll never see the new children's hospital. But moving into adult hospitals is an issue. It's because her care is so specific, and her file even is piled high on a trolley, you know. So to transfer all that over to a new adult hospital is going to be an issue. And actually, they've reduced the age for children in the new hospital is going to be 16. So what they do is, up to now, it's children up to 18. And I can understand that a 17-year-old child could be bigger than me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
and you know what I mean. But for some children, that option should be to stay in the hospital. So we don't know. We always have unknowns.
That should be a clinically led decision. It should be, should we retain this person here till they're 18, or maybe they are a better fit for moving through the system elsewhere? It shouldn't be black and white on paper and an arbitrary.
We have some of the doctors there are amazing. Like, our team at the moment are still seeing Sophia, and she's 17.
Yeah.
Come next year, I'm not sure that's going to be an option. But look, I would love to say this is the last time we're going to talk about this hospital, if they ever get it open. And I hope that we're wrong, but the access thing in the city centre and no Coast Guard helicopter and all them other bits and pieces
landing
that were flagged at the start seem to be going.
Okay. Well, listen, Aaron, thanks for helping us keeping it on the agenda here in the Northwest. All right. And best wishes to you, your partner, and the whole family. Thanks so much for your time. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye. Aaron Daly there. Just to give us an insight and understanding as to the reality of what parents and guardians are having to go through there. We had an opportunity to get that right because we were having all these chats, these conversations, these problems were being highlighted in the planning stage. And you'd be very familiar with the arguments that were being had. We all accept that a children's hospital was required, and then it came down to location, access, parking. We understand the strong argument that it's best if it's co-located or close to other hospitals where you have a concentration of experts. We get that, but, you know, was it worth trying to fit this square peg into seemingly a round hole? But as I said, and I hate the phrase, we are where we are. Okay, right. Okay, thanks, Aaron. I really appreciate that. If you have a say on that 086 60 25 000, a reminder for you, if you're listening overnight, get involved in the conversation at any stage. Email, comments at highlandradio.com, or WhatsApp and text us, and we'll pick them up the next morning and you can be part of the conversation. Pat Bradley's in Donna Park. Well done, Pat. You have won 2 tickets for our competition in association with our friends at St. Mary's GEA and Convoy. They are doing some great work there in improving facilities, work already ongoing, and as part of that, they have a €50,000 prize up for grabs. Can you imagine on St. Patrick's Day, someone's going to win €50,000? Search out St. Mary's Convoy, St. Mary's GEA Convoy, if you want to enter that competition. We'll have another 2 tickets to give away tomorrow, which is Thursday, and that's the last day of the week, isn't it? I'm struggling to keep track of everything. I believe it is. Okay, that's where we have to leave it on the programme today. Thank you so much for listening, and I mean that in earnest. It's very much appreciated, and thanks to those of you who watched. Congratulations again to Charles, James and the Rise. They are our winners of the Irish Music Month competition. Thanks to everyone who took part in the show as well. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin's around the Northwest coming up after the news at 12 noon.
This week's 9 till noon